Hello, and welcome to the Mocha Minutes podcast. I'm Stephanie. Thank you so much for joining me. You can find the Mocha Minutes podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, TuneIn, Castbox, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Find us on any of those platforms or wherever else you catch your podcast. Also, still soliciting for ratings and reviews. If you would be so inclined, please leave us some 5 stars. Leave us some reviews. Would greatly appreciate it. Also, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Mocha Minutes on all 3 of those platforms. If you want to shoot me an email, give me some feedback. Other than on those 3 places, you can email me at mochaminutes@gmail.com. Hello and welcome back to the Mocha Minutes podcast. I am Stephanie. Thank you so much for joining me. So I have deemed, because literally 2020 has been the longest decade of our lifetime. It's only 1 year. And I said, for December, now that we have voted Trump out, he is denying it. I don't give a shit. He's gone. December is for Bravo. And I wanted to bring on people that I like from the Bravo sphere. Now, sometimes it is like high school, but this person that I have, she has her own lunch table. And I'm very excited that I get to sit at the lunch table. I bring up my little tray full of corn and, my eggs a la francais, and I sit at her table. So I have OhnoBravo from the amazing Instagram page that you should be following. OhnoBravo, how are you this evening?
I am good. Thank you for that introduction. I do have to give the disclaimer. It's bedtime in the OhnoBravo household. So if you hear pterodactyl screams, that is my toddler letting us know, hello, hi, bedtime is not for me.
I'm so used to it. And there are people like, oh my God, children. I'm like, you guys don't understand. I love it. Because I'm at this point where I'm like, you guys have no idea how funny kids are. And sometimes their laughs and their screams literally fit into what we're recording. I'm like, oh, see, works. They're paying attention. They don't know what we're talking about, but they're paying attention. So I'm all for it. I'm all for it. So please tell everybody about your page, OhnoBravo. If you haven't seen it, you got to see the lives.
I feel like I am like the most consistently inconsistent Bravo page on Instagram. Like I kind of, you know what's unfair about Jax Taylor? He kind of took the broken brain thing from me. I had been saying my brain was broken for a while, and then freaking Jax Taylor comes in with his ace bandage and takes that from me. So you know what? I'm claiming it back for myself. I have a broken brain, and I just post what I like to post, and I've gathered misfit toys along the way. And hey, I met some like real life friends now. I met all you guys. So I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited. So, because one, I don't know if you guys know this, but OhnoBravo goes live like what, 3 times a week?
2 times. Yeah, I go live on Fridays and Sundays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. And I just have like, my internet friends, internet besties on. I had you on. I need to have you back because that was so much fun. I swore I was going to get like banned from Instagram after ours.
Now I don't remember what we talked about. I probably told somebody to go to hell. That's fine. I will eat that. You guys just bring it here. I'll eat that. But yes, it's such a good time. I'm like, oh, and then you're like, oh, who's gonna be on with you? Oh, I gotta listen because this is just gonna be funny. It's like, oh, this is just gonna be great. Oh, I can't wait to hear. Because then it's like you hear more voices. And what I love about your page is that your page is very diverse with your guests. It's not just, now we both like Bravo, but Bravo can be very, it can be very white. And I can say this to her because she's like, oh yeah. Case in point, I've literally been looking around for Black people who watch Below Deck, and people are like, Black people don't watch that. I'm like, oh, I object. How rude. It's like, I do watch it. And I also now follow Joao, who, by the way, I love off of the show because I didn't really like him on the show. And now I kind of like him. And he also likes to get half naked.
Joao is like the only redemption arc on Bravo that I believe. Like he's the only Bravo bro that has gone through that arc of like, I've changed, I'm different. And I'm like, you know what? I believe you. And you're the only one I believe. Absolutely. Because the troglodytes from last season, I was like, yeah, throw all of them away. Even Tanner. Yeah, especially Tanner. Fuck him, okay? It's like all of them, throw all of them away. And this new season, I'm like, I don't like any of you. I don't like Chief Stew. Captain Lee is fine, and y'all brought back Eddie, and I'm like, this is how long I feel like Below Deck has been on for like a millennia, because I'm like, I don't even remember Eddie, and he's also in Baltimore, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I'm like, wait, what? How? No one told me. I completely forgot about him. And then I had the Instagram account blocked by Jax on for the Below Deck premiere. And she's like, I mean, she goes in on Below Deck. And I was like, okay, can you remind me, like, do we like him? Do we hate him? Like, I can't remember where he ended. She was like, oh, remember Rocky's season that he was that huge dick to Rocky? And I was like, oh, now I remember. Oh, now. And I kind of liked Rocky, but I'm a weirdo when it comes to Below Deck people. Rocky, actually, so that was when my husband first got in. Below Deck is like a gateway drug for husbands and boyfriends, I feel like. Like you can kind of, if there are any listeners out there trying to sneak attack their partner, Below Deck is a good one because it's like a workplace drama. So my husband got really into Below Deck, and Rocky's season was the one that he got really into. That's interesting, because I went back. It's like, because of so many seasons of Below Deck, it was hard for me to like go back. But Below Deck Med, I was able to go back to, and because last season I was like, why doesn't she like Bugsy? I don't actually remember. I'm like, why don't they like each other? And I'm like, oh, now I remember, because I had to go back and watch, and I was like, oh, yeah, fuck her. Like, yeah, fuck her, you know. Like, yeah, I'm good. I'm like, yeah, now I can see why. And now it's like the two Chief Stews, and was like, oh, they're both gone, and they got this new one. I'm like, girl, I don't care. It's like the one I tried Below Deck Sailing Yacht. I ended up binging it because, hello, we're in a pandemic. So what else am I going to do? And I binged the whole season. I was like, oh, this is not a bad season. And then I get to the reunion. I'm like, I don't care. This reunion is dumb. I'm like, yeah, Zoom reunions need to go. Yeah, it's like the in-person reunion. I'm glad that they've figured out a format to make it work, because it just makes such a difference to have everybody. So question for you. This is like a good litmus test. Are you a Hannah person or a Kate person when it comes to Chief Stew? This is hard because because I was literally about to punch her in the face, but I'm a Kate person. I'm a Kate person, but only up until she was like being really shitty to that stew that wanted to quit. And then she had the radio in front of her door. I'm like, oh, she's better than me, because I literally would have beat her ass. I'm like, okay. So I'd have went full on Monique on your ass, because I'm like, okay, I'm gonna beat your ass. Okay. All right. So this is antagonizing. You're Monique. That is antagonizing. That is like, okay, you want to fight. You want violence, then that's fine. But yeah, I'm more of a Kate person, but it's so weird with Hannah, because I actually like Hannah. It's weird. I'm like, I feel like I would like to hang out with her, but I wouldn't want to work with her. Yes, that's how I feel too. I feel like Kate would be a better boss, because like, even if she's like snarky to you, you know her expectations, whereas Hannah, I feel like just like passes off all her responsibilities. I would probably want to hang out with both of them, but like, I think I could be friends with Hannah, but I would be like, I would hate her as a boss. Oh yeah. She's like, I'm so busy. I'm like, girl, you're Chief Stew. You're supposed to be busy. Why are you talking to me about, oh my God, I have so much to do. I have to call this mariachi band. I'm like, girl, she's like the coworker that comes in and is like always sighing. Like she's at the cubicle next to you and she's just like, and And it's like, oh God, like, what do you have to do today? You want to
like, how are you? It's like, she won't give you like the fake little, I'm fine, everything's fine. How are you? Oh my God, I have 17 calls to make. Okay, I literally just wanted a fine. I am good. I wanted a fake answer. I really didn't want to know what you were doing. Please leave me alone. But her baby is very cute. And I'm like, I don't know something about Hannah I just like, but I'm like, I wouldn't want to work with her. It's like, I want to hang out with her. I want to go to a bar, go to a club. There, go working with you. I'm like, no, because you can go have me doing dumb shit. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? I'm like, how is Sandy not micromanaging you?
Yeah.
Like, God. And then this also sucks below deck this season because literally they have the most capable chef I've ever seen. I'm like, okay, so this is wasted on a chef that literally can do all the ridiculous things that people ask for. Y'all lost her fucking caviar. I don't know what the fuck happened, but it's like y'all lost her shit. I'm like, oh God. I'm like, here's the crazy part. But still,
it's kind of going back to the original Below Deck format, I think, though, where like back in the day, they actually hired capable people. And then it really was like a true workplace drama where like I love a petty fight. Like I love a fight about like cutlery. Like, yes, give me all of that. Like, get me like the pettiest shit, you know, like I want to see people, like I want it to snowball and it's all because of like a knife or a fork and not,
do you see
knife,
this?
But just
this
like
is a fish knife.
Yeah, like I love a cutlery fight or
oh my God.
You know, any of that, a laundry fight, love it. So I think they're getting back to that format because for a while there, it was like they were casting people who clearly had been in yachting for like
models. I'm like, wait a minute, you're a model. I know, like, what's his name? The really tall, hot fireman that was on Below Deck Med. I literally can't think of his name. And I'm like, what the fuck? But he was like 6'5". I'm like, oh, this is great. You big dummy. I love you. He's a hoe.
But then they end up always getting fired or like the whole season is about them learning basic tasks. And it's like, okay, well, I'm here for the fight because you didn't fold something properly, not because you don't know how to do your job.
You don't know how to do your job. I'm like, wait a minute, how does this whole deck? I'm like, oh, why are we getting educated on what shots mean? I'm like, wait a minute. Y'all don't know this? I feel like this is Below Deck season 1. What are we doing? And I didn't even watch season 1. I'm like, I feel like this is go to Hannah's school that someone is alleging that she stole from someone else. I'm like, you do realize training for a yacht is not an original idea. There's a lot of training. What are you doing? Hannah stole it. Yes, because Hannah knows who the fuck you are.
Actually, that could be the new show is then take it back a step, have Kate and Hannah like train their own stews and then have like a stew competition of like who's going to get cast on the next Below Deck.
Right. They have to tell like who's going to judge. Sandy, I don't know. She's the best judge. Captain Lee, maybe. And then they can find the captain from the first season Below Deck. Because when I did my rewatch, I'm like, who's this guy?
Who is this?
Wait, she's not the original captain. I would like, I need to speak to management. So maybe y'all can find him. Like I did Sailing Yacht and it's like, it's a great season, but a terrible reunion. So maybe that captain too. I mean, I don't know. I'm like, don't bring back Sailing Yacht. It's great to binge, but God, I would not want to watch that for a season. I'm like, I don't care. I think Below Deck is a better bingey show. I feel like it could go on Netflix right now. It's like, oh, this is great. Just shoot all of this together, dump it off on one weekend and you can watch it. But sometimes like I'm like, girl, I don't care. Oh my God. Fire somebody.
I think it definitely is like it's a great hungover show. It's a great like laying on your couch, feeling like you're going to die, just like watching other people's drama. But I guess that's why it's literally like you turn on Bravo in the daytime and Below Deck is on. It's
like,
never
what season is this?
else.
I'm like, I don't know season. And then you hit info. You're like, oh, I don't remember none of this. I don't remember none of it. Yeah, we weren't even supposed to be talking about Below Deck, but I'm gonna wake up in the middle of the night and go, that's his name. I can't think of his name. I can't.
Yeah, you know, your listeners right now are like hitting their steering wheel, yelling at us the name.
They're like, I'm like, oh, I don't know. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm on a game show and people are like, you know, yell at people like, how do you not know this answer? She's on Bravo right now. I'm like, I don't know. So let's get some Bravo news before we talk our ladies of Atlanta and Potomac. So this was this is the funniest thing, because this was during your live with Monty, and you're like, oh, breaking news, Jax is not returning. You're like, wait, what? It's like, wait a minute. What is this? How is this happening on a Friday night? So after 8 years, it feels longer, quite frankly. It's like 8 years sounds super long, but it's like, I feel like it's been really like 25 years. Jax is not returning. His pregnant wife, Brittany, after 5 years, is not returning. So I don't know why they like to bait the Bravo verse. Brittany didn't delete this fast enough because she literally copied and pasted exactly what Jax said. And I was like, wait, I don't see. Oh, it says me and Brittany. You are Brittany. Oh, damn. Damn it, Brittany. I'm so sorry. But they're not returning. So
yeah, that was like honestly the best way to find out was during my live. I love that you were our recon specialist. I was like, okay, you guys don't leave this live, but I need one of you to go over.
I'm on it. And mind you, I missed them talking about it. They're like, oh, he's leaving? Wow, that's crazy. So anyway, this drink that we make, I'm like, this is how I missed it. Because literally they asked at the beginning, because I think Ariana said, oh, I saw the thing like, oh, Jax is going live. It's like, oh, why is he doing that? I mean, I don't know. Anyway, so I got this book. We've had it for a whole year, and you should just get the cocktails out. I'm like, oh, y'all don't care. I'm like, I didn't think Sandoval would actually care, because he's like, and I was like, all last season, I was like, fuck y'all for making me defend Tom Sandoval. Because I was like, God damn it, he's right. And this makes me sick.
Like, I mean, yeah, but I also like it makes sense. The two of them don't really seem like the messiest. Like I don't see them going live on Instagram and like spilling all the tea. Like it makes sense that they were like, oh man, that's crazy. Anyway, back to why
I'm coming here to sell my book. Back
to our actual paycheck, because this show might not be continuing. So let's focus on the cocktails and the books, people.
Right.
But no, that was amazing. I literally like, sometimes things will happen where the comments start coming in on my live and I'm like, okay, there's enough of them now that I need to ask the question. Cause somebody was like, Brittany announced, Jax announced. I'm like, okay, time out. What is happening here? Cause I'm live on my phone, so I can't scroll. What's going on here?
Cause it was just like, wait, this is so weird. And then the rumors like were flying that the show was canceled. And someone said, I have it on good authority that they are shooting next spring. I'm like, okay.
So do you want to hear my blind speculation, my prediction? This is based on nothing. Like, so don't think I have an inside source. This is just coming from my brain. Like, this is just my blind prediction, because that's what I like to do. I like to just state things. And then if I say it enough, all of a sudden it becomes a rumor. And then if it comes true, I can be like, well, I told you guys. And if it doesn't come true, then I can be like, well, I mean, I told you, I was just speculating.
Like, it was just
so you guys heard it here first, right? No, I think I predict, I bet that Vanderpump will get picked up for another season. I think that it will probably focus on the like newbies, and it'll go back to that OG format of like maybe the next generation. And then I have a feeling with Rand and Lala and their connections, like I would be very surprised. I think that Redacted Schroeder is a very smart businesswoman. Like I think I would be so surprised if they weren't secretly filming throughout the pregnancy, like, and that they're not like shopping around their footage to a network. And I could see them taking it to a different network, calling it something else, and like having all the OGs on a different show.
Yeah. It's kind of like I think it's been tossed around the Vanderbump rules, because literally 4 people are pregnant, and it's like that's so crazy. I'm sorry, I'm not signing up for Redacted Schroeder's anything unless she's going to pay me 3 times whatever her Black Lives Matter teacher is making. I'm like, you can pay me 4 times what you're paying them. I'm still not going to help you, you're going to pay me.
Have we found out who her teacher is? Has she announced?
Like, I don't even know if your teacher is Black. I need to know who's teaching you. You're like, I can now say why Black Lives Matter. And I'm like, so, hi, Redacted. This is Tamron. This is not Hoda. She looked at you like, what are you talking about? It's like, what are you doing, girl?
That interview was like,
I was like screaming.
I have to give the full disclaimer. I was a Stassi apologist for way too long. Like I looked the other, 100%. Like I need to acknowledge.
You're like, I need to atone for this.
I need to atone. I need to, no, there were like, I let so much shit slide. I let the Me Too stuff slide. I let the, all the Oscars So White stuff slide. Like there were so many times I kind of just was like, well, but that's Stassi, blah, blah, blah. And then finally, like, I mean, it comes to a point where like, I think everybody needs to look inward and be like, okay, at what point do I need to stop? Like, there are plenty of other messy people that can like have a platform that we don't really need to be giving this one a 10th chance. Yeah. Like she lost all of her podcast sponsorships 3 summers ago, and then she kept talking. Like at some point, just maybe stop talking.
You think? Stop. I'm like, honey, it's okay if you don't give your whole opinion, which is why that whole like Oscar So White thing. This is when I was like, so me and Ariana are now married. Because she was like, this is some white privilege bullshit and I don't like it. And it was like, ooh, I like her. Like, ooh,
and
she's
then
good.
Have you heard the rumors of what Stassi's new podcast might be called?
No.
Do you want to know, or should we just move on to the next topic?
No, go ahead. Tell me so I can go.
Entitled AF. So like basically like she's taking the basic brand and then allegedly just doubling down, and like you might as well just make it like privileged AF. Like, isn't it?
Oh,
so
don't put
cute?
that out. She might actually try to do it. And it was like, it's so weird. I'm glad you've like been delivered from that, because quite frankly, looking at like some of the, I think the Sir Rules one, where people are like, oh my God, I will not watch it if Stassi is not there. Great, because I don't need your ass there. I'm tired of you.
Honestly, like, and I mean, I can only, again, I'm a hypocrite because for a long time, I wouldn't say I was like a Stassi defender, but I definitely was like a Stassi apologist, where I would just be like, yeah, that's shitty. And then kind of still be like chuckling at her little confessionals. But
right.
Stassi's fan group now is like an online All Lives Matter brunch. Like her comment section at any given day, I'm just like, ooh, like.
Oh my God. They're all eating goat cheese balls. They're like, I'm gonna go cheese and Pinot Grigio and drinking Pinot Grigio. That's all they're doing. I'm like, girl, I'm not arguing with you. And somebody else's fans I'm not arguing with is Kelly Dodds.
Well, yeah.
She has apologized. Girl.
It was like a hostage situation. Like I swear that there was like a teleprompter like behind her that she was just like memorizing her script, like that whole
a tablet sitting right behind her head, like, okay, say all of this, big letters, say this. I'm like, girl, ma'am, I'm sorry, we're not watching your fucking show, okay? We're not gonna watch you as long as you're there, and even if you leave, I'm sorry, I don't care about OC that much. It's like it should have stopped a long ass time ago. It's like, no, and I like Bronwyn, so this sucks. It's like, I want to see Bronwyn's journey, but I'm like, yeah, no, you got way too many people on there that I'm like, yeah, I don't care. I don't know who this Elizabeth person is. Like, she needs to go. Gina's hair is horrible, and then there's Emily.
No, Emily low key allegedly people, but like I think Emily shares some beliefs with Kelly Dodd, but she's just smart. She's smarter
to not say it
because I think there's something there for people to investigate as far as like what she feels. But yeah, it's unfortunate because like Bronwyn actually has an interesting story to tell, but like I don't need to.
I'm like, I feel like, can I just call you, Bronwyn? Can I just call you? Can we just talk about your journey? I don't want to watch it. Okay. I don't want to watch it. I'm not telling people not to watch it. I'm like saying I am not going to watch it, and not in a self-righteous, let me get myself in a magazine way.
Yeah. Bronwyn was on my live, not on my live, ask, believe, receive, but she was in the comments of my live.
Love for her to be on your live. Oh my God.
Let's put it out in the universe. Bronwyn, I know you listen to Mocha Minutes.
We have to talk to Monty. Talk to Bronwyn.
I know, I would die, but no, but she was in the comments, and basically some of the Salt Lake City housewives were there too. And I'm like, Bronwyn, can we just get you to move to Salt Lake City? I think you would actually fit in with that cast. Let's just scoot you on over there. Then we can watch you, because I just OC, like, and again, there are so few things in 2020 to spark joy that if watching OC is that for you, good for you. I'm never going to say don't watch a show, because It's Bravo. Like if it sparks joy for you, watch it. I personally just like don't need to relive COVID through Kelly Dodd's eyes.
Mm-mm.
And there's just like, and then for her to like, okay, so she spends the first half of the episode apologizing. And then the second half of the episode basically insinuating that Bronwyn is like faking her storylines.
Yeah. It was like, how do you go? It's like, Andy's so good at this because it was like, if he had asked her like 2 more questions, she'd have went off script real quickly.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, I mean, I'm just an idiot. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry. That's not an apology. You being stupid is not, oh, I'm sorry, I'm stupid. Okay, you're not that stupid. It's like, I'm sorry, is that supposed to make me feel better? You're like, I'm a dumbass and I say dumb shit. You've been on this show how long? You've been saying dumb shit since you've been here. It was just fine because you were just going after Vicky, and so we're fine. But it's like, yeah, she's still an asshole, and now she's just showing her racist side of her being an asshole. And if one more person says to me, she can't be racist, she's Mexican, I'm like, Mexican is an ethnicity and it's not a race. Please don't do this. But also, you can still be Mexican and racist. I don't understand this. I'm like, that doesn't stop you from, never mind. No.
And yeah. And again, maybe like, I feel like I'm in confession. Like, I feel like you're a priest. I'm confessing my sins to. Guess who else was in my top 5 going into quarantine? Kelly Dodd. So I don't know what
is up with your top 5?
It is straight up cursed. I need to stop putting people up there.
Oh
but I
God.
definitely need to do some like journaling, some introspection. I need to maybe see a therapist, like, because the Bravo celebrities that I am drawn to are like the chaotic, you never know what's going to come out of their mouth type of thing. But the issue with that is that the chaotic energy combusts, and then I'm always left holding the bag being like,
I can't believe you choose your top 5. You're like,
I know.
I like mess.
I do.
Mess. So because your top 5, I was like, I got to tell her my top 5 because I feel like you shouldn't be out there alone. So this is my top 5. And the top for me, and everybody's going like, what? Is Nene. I'm like, Nene is my top. And my number 2 is one that I'm like, sometimes I can't fucking stand her. It's Teresa. Because
so you like mess too.
See, I like mess too, but also I'm like, sometimes I don't like what Teresa does, but I like, she is her franchise. They moved recording and filming because she was in jail. I'm like, oh shit, y'all can't have Jersey without Teresa. I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, you're badass. Number 3 is Bethany. Number 4 is our buddy Luann. I'm like, excuse me, this bitch can't sing, but she got hits. I don't understand how this happened.
She puts the Lou in delusional.
I was like, she's like, I'm like the female Barry White. Hi, hello. So my dad has vinyls of Barry White, and I can almost guarantee you are not. But Diva La Diva. I'm sorry. It's like, it's a bop. I don't know what it's
such a bop. Such a bop.
And rounding out my top 5 is Candy. I don't know what it is about Candy.
You like big dick energy.
I do.
Yeah. I can respect. That's a solid top 5. Mine. Well, you know what? I'm not even announcing it. I need to like sage it in the new year, because anytime I announce a top 5,
you're like oh.
I literally, like, it is cursed. Just the other month, for no reason whatsoever, I just publicly announced that I was going to put Erica Jane in there. Why? I don't know. I just felt like it. And then I think I manifested this shit. Now she's like going to straight up be Roxy Hart in jail. Like, I'm not announcing it anymore. I don't want to like harm people anymore.
She gonna be Roxy Hart in jail. Okay, can you imagine Tall Girardi singing Mr. Cellophane? Oh my God, I can't do this. Now, like, somebody send him the song. He's probably like, I cannot sing, but you should try, Thomas. You should try. It's like, oh, this is so great. I'm like, yeah. And I know someone's like, how's Nene in your top? How is Nene number 1? I'm like, yeah, really? There were no one-liners before Nene Leakes.
She did make so I'm watching from season 1 on my Patreon, which, by the way, I need to have you on because I'm starting season 2 now.
Because Candy's there. I love it.
Yeah,
but blowing up on your ass. I'm like,
But Nene made the franchise, like she made Housewives what Housewives was. Like she made those confessionals that are like those gifable moments. She made those one-liners. She made that like funny. She brought the comedy too.
Yeah, because now everybody after that is doing GIFs, but it was Nene first. It's like, not saying there aren't other GIFs or GIFs. I don't care how y'all fucking pronounce it. Please don't write to me and
That's
say
why I
it
just say
is called.
both. I'm like
GIF or GIF, girl, whatever, potato, whatever floats your boat. I don't want to hear like, well, the guy who made it, I don't give a goddamn. He don't live here. I don't care. But whatever you want to say, I don't know. There's something on Nia I just like, and do I feel like she went out kind of sad? Kind of, but I mean, I don't know. It's like you think of like OC, New York, and Atlanta. It's been on forever. Mm-hmm. It's like these are the top 3. They've been on forever, and it's like, is it really? This is really season 13 of Atlanta. This is really what? Season 15? Yeah. I'm like, man, I remember when all those ladies in OC had that one shirt, and I'm like, why are y'all all wearing? Y'all have like a sponsorship. Oh my God, it was like, and they're like, oh no, we just all bought them, so they didn't sponsor y'all. That's crazy. They're nuts.
That's how you know it was OG Housewives, that they weren't getting that Sky Top sponsorship. Swipe up.
Swipe up and get my Sky Top. I feel like if it was like around season 10, they would have. And there was a time where, see, this is how I'm glad I waited to do my top 5, because I would have put Gretchen in there. And God, I'm so glad I didn't put her there.
Yeah.
Because no, 1,000 times no. It was like, you, girl, is that even your real face? Is that your face? Or how do you auto-tune a filter? Like, how do you do this? How do you?
It literally is like, not only is she using Facetune, but she's going old school. She's rubbing like Vaseline on the lens. Like she's giving herself that soap opera filter.
I was like, what's wrong with her face?
No, but the weirdest part, okay, you do what you got to do for your self-confidence, whatever.
Right.
Do not Facetune your baby. A baby does not need to be Facetuned.
She's a baby.
You do not. A baby has pores. It's okay. Let's normalize pores on babies in 2020.
Please let's normalize pores. That's the show title, Normalize Pores. It's like, I don't even know what to say. I'm like, and I guess the last bit of Bravo news is Dallas. So there was like a little screenshot that was going around and saying Dallas was going to come back 12/31. It's actually coming back January 5th. And the new trailer has dropped. And I was on the fence of, man, do I really want to watch this? Because Carrie's still there. But then they introduced us to Dr. Moon. And I'm like, oh, so I'm in. So I'm very much here for seeing Dr. Moon. I'm here for seeing her digging Brandy's ass. I'm also here to see Cameron. And I'm like, can we talk about this pink dog food that does not turn dogs poop pink? I mean, maybe we'll come back to that. I mean, I don't know. But what did you think about the Dallas trailer?
So it intrigued me. Again, I'm going to announce another sin. I mean, if I have any followers left by the end of this, it'll be a miracle. But I actually have never gotten into Dallas. I meant to binge it. Like I had it on my like lineup of like, I'm going to do a binge. Mm-hmm. And then the Leanne stuff happened and I was like, do I want to binge this? So I binged Summer House instead and went on that journey. And I just like, I think I'm going to.
Thank you for encouraging you my journey, because you're the reason why I binged Summer House. I'm like, oh my God, OhnoBravo. Like, what the hell? Like, why am I still watching this? Fuck Kyle Cook.
Well, you know that I got my Loverboy sponsorship, so I can't be besmirching the Loverboy name.
So is the tea better?
Okay, here's my honest opinion. So the tea for me is actually like a top 5 summertime drink. Like okay. It's very refreshing. It's very easy to drink and it actually tastes good. The spritzers for me, so I don't like sweet. Like I'm not a sweet person. Okay. So the 2 of their spritzers, the mango and then their most recent one, the like guava, whatever they came out with. I like those 2. Mm-hmm. Blueberry one is like way too sweet for me.
Really?
Yeah. But my sister-in-law loves it and she has a sweet tooth. So maybe it actually, my bottom line is like of all of the Bravo Celebrity products, it's actually good. Like I could see it being sold rather than, and that's not even just because they actually sent me some. It was, I've been shamelessly promoting them before they were even
You really were. And I was like, what the hell is Loverboy? Like, what is this? Because I wasn't watching the show. So I only say fuck Kyle Cook because, you know, he can't stop getting drunk and putting his dick and lips on people. And so I'm like, yeah, that's that. But I think the Loverboy concept is actually kind of cute because even when people are like, it's really expensive, he's like, so first of all, fuck you. And second of all, buy my shit. I was like, well, okay. It's like, that's why you tell the white people to buy your shit because that's who you're talking to. They're like, excuse me, this is way I could drink Bud Light. So first of all, if you drink Bud Light, then you deserve everything you get. Okay? That is like a illegal under 21 college. I gotta get drunk fast drink. Loverboy is not for that, is not his clientele, beloved. And y'all know how I feel about Carl Radke. He is for the streets. That hoe is for the streets. I don't know why y'all trying to turn that hoe into a housewife. I don't know. But you know, quarantine Carl and this beard. Now he's a bearded hoochie, and I'm all for this.
Quarantine Carl is like, ooh, my God. I always called him a vampire. Like you could always tell when he was perhaps indulging allegedly in some like late night activities. You know what I mean? Like you could tell when the vampire in Carl came out and there was like a little more rubbing of the nose, a little more like shaking of the head. And he's looking really healthy and ooh,
that beard, I was like,
Carl.
Okay. He's a hoe for the street.
So anyway, long story short, I got into Summer House, not into Dallas, but I'm gonna go into this season, I think, just completely blind.
Go in blind because you don't need to go back to season 1 and see great value Keith Urban. And Tiffany was actually, I didn't think she was a bad housewife. I think for them, they're looking for the drama, and Tiffany's like, I'm just trying to live in Dallas and live my beautiful life with my great value Keith Urban. I don't have time for the drama. And that's why I think she was a friend of season 2. And then you didn't see her because I think her and Leanne are still friends because I think last season when she got married, Tiffany came back on the scene. And they're like, oh, what's she doing here? I'm like, we're still friends. I'm like, oh, okay.
Is this season 4 or season 5?
This is season 5.
Okay.
Yeah. I tried. I was like, yeah, I don't care this much. I just wanted to see. I'm like, I didn't watch the first season. I got into it maybe like 3.
See, because my cousins got into it, they both loved it, and they were like, you could really like, I think you would really like it. And I usually I'm a slut for Bravo. Like anything I watch, I pretty much end up liking. But I was just like, is this something I really want to be binging? So my followers were pretty split. Half of them were like, you got to get the backstory, and half of them were like, go in blind. And I'm like, I'm gonna go in blind, and if I love it, if all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I'm a Dallas stan, then I'll go back. But like, I don't really care to at this point in time.
Yeah, I feel like it's like it could, for me, I was like, yeah, you could go either way because I guess it would explain why the Brandy Leanne frenemy thing that they've had literally since the beginning of this series. And I'm like, yeah, but Leanne's not even on there anymore, so I don't even think it really matters. I mean, she's not even there anymore. So I feel like you can just go in blind, like seriously, because I think Brandy and Stephanie are originals, everybody else is new. So
okay.
So it's like,
gotcha.
yeah, whatever. I'm all for it. It's like we got Salt Lake, Dallas is coming back in January right now, and people are like, we got 4 housewives on at the same time. I'm like, we do? Dallas doesn't come back till January. Oh, you're talking about Orange County. Yeah, we're not watching that, sis. So you can just it's 3, 4. Nope. Don't know what you're talking about.
This week it was like 3 strong ones, and I was like, okay, I can do 3 strong ones.
Because even with my DVR, like, how some people do the DVR, like it's a couple minutes before the show starts. Mine is set up for that for Salt Lake. I keep forgetting to do this. So this is now a reminder for Stephanie to change that to when the show starts. It's like, yeah, I don't care about anything about OC. I don't care about whatever's going over there. I'm like, I don't care. I still love Rowan. I really do. Rowan, I love you for real. I just want to pick you up and move you somewhere.
Yeah, just literally anywhere else. Literally anywhere.
Please go somewhere else. Please just leave us alone. Nope, go away. Okay, so let's start with, I missed Sunday nights like this where it's 2 good shows back to back. And I'm like, oh, I missed it. It used to be Married to Medicine, and then they lost their damn minds and moved to Friday. It's like, Andrew, put them back on Sunday. Hello, no, put them back. And then they ended up putting back. Oh yeah, we had to. No, bitch, you lying. Y'all tried to try it on Friday night. It's like, no, why are you doing this? They're in Atlanta with Atlanta Housewives. They should just be on it. Sunday is Atlanta night. What are you doing? Put Shaw's on Friday. They're not in Atlanta. Sorry. I don't know why they put Shaw's on Sunset on a Sunday. I'm like, no one cares.
Yeah, it's weird the decisions that Bravo, like, why is Salt Lake City on at 10 p.m. on a Wednesday when we already have a Housewives show on a Wednesday? Why any other day?
Other day.
Like,
can we do another day? Because 10 o'clock is for tardy for the party. We ain't watching that shit.
I'm so tired. I want to go to bed.
I never watch it live. I'm like, okay, girl, I can't do no 10 o'clock. I'm like, DVR, help me. It was like, this is how I know. I'm like, it's in my DVR, then I forgot. Like, I didn't watch Salt Lake City till I think Saturday. I'm like, oh shit, I didn't watch the episode. Oh, I don't know what's going on. And I'm in the Shaw Squad. I feel like they're gonna like kick me out and tell me like, get the fuck out. You don't watch it on Wednesday, but it's at 10 o'clock. Mm-hmm. I'm so tired. I'm like a 3-year-old by like 10:25. I'm like, oh my God, please. Okay. Mm-hmm. Oh God, I can't do it. I need to go to bed. So that's just me. I can't do 10 o'clock. They need to move it. It's especially when people are watching and they're very active. So yeah, no, move Salt Lake City. It's like, or just switch OC. I mean, who's watching it? So we're not gonna
honestly, I bet that would work better for their ratings, that there would be people that are just like it's already on Bravo, and then it rolls over.
It'll be a great lead-in because it's like Salt Lake City really doesn't need the lead-in. So everybody's watching it, but everybody it has such momentum of this is going to be really good. So let's head to Atlanta. So we are at season 13 of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. We have a smaller cast, which hasn't been this small in a while. So we now have 5 housewives. It's Portia, Candy, Cynthia, Kenya, and Drew is coming. She was not on the premiere. Only thing I know about Drew Sidora is that she busted up Melanie and Derwin's marriage because Derwin slept with her. See, this is what happens when like I've seen her before. I'm like, is she the girl from the game that Derwin slept with and then they fucked up their relationship? You dumb ass. And it was like, and she was actually, I guess, playing herself as a singer. So I'm like, she's still pretty. So very excited to see her. So how were you going into this season 13? 13 is such an unlucky number, but
13 is my favorite number.
Is it?
Because when I grew up playing sports, and I would always say it's unlucky for the other team. But no, but I went into it. So I've been in and out on Atlanta. Like that hasn't been, that's the reason I'm doing the rewatch on my Patreon to like really, because I kind of like, so I got into Bravo maybe like 5 years ago is when I really got like into it. Like I would dip in and out. I've always loved reality television, but like 5 years ago was really when I like kind of like all the housewives came to me. So I didn't really know like the full backstory of Atlanta for like all of the history of all of the relationships. So I'm still kind of going into it pretty blind as far as like, obviously I know the big players, I know the big fights, but I don't know all the true dynamics. And to know that this series is on at the same time as Orange County is actually like so poetic of where our country is right now, that those two franchises can exist on the same network, filmed in the same time period, and just like the differences of what, even just like the general tone of what's being talked about. Cause like, I mean,
that and Southern Charmed, I'm like, y'all are all three of y'all are talking
Don't do this to me, Stephanie. It
was just like, so fuck Pringle and I'm sorry, but fuck all of them except for Leva.
Because Craig went live on Instagram with Tommy Lair, and I have to say it.
It's like, so fuck him. I said, you know what? I will stick a pillow up your ass. Have you lost your goddamn mind? It's like you and all of this, and then watching how they're talking about COVID. I'm like, so Madison. Oh my God, you're so fucking irresponsible. So anyway, your party that I'm throwing, bitch.
Did you see they're still going at it on Instagram? Like there was like a comments by Bravo thing where Austin was like commenting on Kristen Cavallari. I'm like,
and then Madison commented on her ex-husband's thing, Jay Cutler. And I'm like, so first of all, he looks like a toe. And second of all, what is wrong with girl? Open up. It's like, girl, don't you have a son to raise? Why are y'all being so stupid? Oh, really? If he liked her, he wouldn't be sending me songs at midnight. I'm like, girl, why is he not blocked? I don't understand. I'm like, shut up, Madison.
Madison.
I'm like, see, this is why people say, you know what? Fuck this. I'm out. Cam was like, okay, fuck this. Fuck you. I'm leaving. I'm gone. Naomi left and Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, she left. All three of them left. I'm like, y'all could have just said y'all got tired. Don't be like, oh no, it's because of Catherine. I'm like, girl, y'all filmed with Catherine for years. Please don't do this. And they'll be like, oh my God, me and Cameron were friends. Hi, Catherine. She fucking hated you. She's hated you the whole time you've been on the fucking show. She does not like you. You are not her friend. What are we doing? I'm sorry. I'm like, sorry, this is not about below. This is not about Southern Charmed.
But this is what happens when we talk Bravo.
I know. It's like, because it's like when you think about all three of these places, East Coast, West Coast, and the South. Well, technically Atlanta is the South, but so is Charleston. But it's like three different places, and they're all reacting to COVID totally different because y'all don't have Marlo in your city. Because I literally screamed for like 3 minutes. I'm like, so first of all, Marlo is me. I was like, no, I gotta take your temperature. I'm like, where'd you get that thermometer from? Because I will walk around. Excuse me, before I go in your house, I need to take your temperature.
You're bringing out the tape measure right here.
I was like, man, I love you. So if everybody remember when they had like photos from Cynthia's wedding, and they're like, oh my God, all these people wore masks. I'm like, I feel like y'all just talk about Marlo because I didn't see any picture of Marlo without that mask on. I was like, damn, Marlo's very serious. She had on her mask and she was like, nope, mask is on. I was like, yes. So this made total sense.
It was honestly refreshing after seeing like what we've seen so far of how COVID is rolling out. It was pretty refreshing. Even like Cynthia had that one talking head of like, well, Dr. Fauci says the masks are the way to go. So I'm masking up and I'm like, oh, so we believe in science on this franchise. Wonderful. This is great.
I still remember when people were like, you had like, I guess, news talking heads that were talking about all the protests during the uprising. And they're like, oh my God, all these protests is going to lead to an uptick in COVID cases. I'm like, so you haven't met any Black people. We are Black. We are not going to do this. You look at those protests. Yeah, literally like 90 to 85%, 85 to 90, if I'm being correct. They had masks on. Yeah, no, we weren't the ones, but you go to all the people, I'm going to have this no mask test. I'm going to have this no mask march. We're going to march with our guns to city halls. And then all of a sudden all these people getting sick. I'm like, yeah, it wasn't us. We're wearing masks, girl. What you doing?
Literally, I remember like the week after the uprisings and all the protests and all of that, I had some family members share on the lovely site that is Facebook being like, and look at all these spikes, blah, blah, blah. And then one of my family members who I love was like, and what was 2 weeks ago? Oh, Memorial Day? That looked like a lovely barbecue, Barbara. Like, why do you think there's, no, this doesn't happen in like 2 days later, there's an uptick, like you morons.
You're crazy. I'm like, it's a 10-day incubation period. I'm sorry. I know you're like, oh, fuck science. I'm like, oh, okay, so fuck Google too. Is that what we're doing? Like, you could just and now with Thanksgiving over, they're like, oh my God, we're going to see this uptick. I'm like, yeah, because y'all had to have turkey outside of your home. You couldn't have just like had a turkey sandwich, or better yet, just stay the fuck home. It's like, I got to get on a plane. I got to have like 20 people. We all quarantined together.
Did you see Elizabeth from Orange County got ordained as a minister so that she could have it? Ugh.
I said, you piece of shit. I'm like, so when I saw the Supreme Court do that, I went, see, this is why voting is important, folks, because the Senate controls the Supreme Court. We don't have, it's a red Senate. So they're just going to do this shit. And then you watch them, oh no, you can do this outside. No, you can have all these people if you are a religious space. And I'm like, oh, okay. So y'all just want to, you think all them people going to heaven? That's what you're saying? Oh, okay. I can almost guarantee you they're all not. It's like, what are you doing? You're just like, oh, fuck this. And like, yeah, I'm like tempted. It like pray it away. I'm like, girl, that don't work on nothing. can't pray the gay away because what's wrong with being gay? And it's like, you can pray to strengthen your spirit. That's it. But y'all are dumb. Y'all are so stupid. You are a dumb hoe. Shut up. And I don't even really like Kenya. I liked the break from Kenya. Now I like having her back. It's super weird. So it looks like they first did their interview looks in August, which is, we're in December, so it's not that long ago. Mm-hmm. So it was kind of like after the uprising, but still we're in a pandemic. So we're starting to see, we're seeing how the season is shaping up. Mm-hmm. First of all, we're seeing the emergence of titty scent. And I'm like, you know what? I'm all for this. First of all, Cynthia, this is not the dungeon. Why are you dressed like this? I enjoy it. Everybody enjoys it. I'm like, y'all think straight women don't like titties? We do. I'm like, she got nice titties. We want to see them. But I'm just like, ma'am, you are a model. You ain't got no tape. Take some things down. What are you doing? I'm like, oh, good Lord. I'm like, and then we see Kenya is still with that man. Ugh. I don't care if he gave you a pretty baby. Please drop him off on the curb where he belongs. Because I'm like, I definitely had my issues with Kenya. Mm-hmm. She is the villain that Atlanta needs, apparently. She is the villain. I was very happy when she got married. I'm like, she had a baby, and I was like, yeah, I may not like, she's not my girl on the show, but I'm like, mm-hmm. I think the baby's adorable, and I liked her. I like when she was off the show. It was so weird. I'm like, yeah, I can see her coming back. She's fine. And now you're watching her like, oh my God, I'm trying to make this work with this man. I'm like, girl, Mark Daly is not that cute. I don't give a goddamn. I'm like, he is not that attractive. I know she's cute. I don't think you're having another baby, so you don't need his sperm. So you can just dump him off.
Yeah, Mark with the C. Ugh. Yeah.
Right. I'm like,
I actually really felt for her. That one scene, I don't know what it was. Maybe it's just because I'm a terrible driver. Her getting lost, talking on the phone. I started tearing up. I was like, I have been there. I have been a hot mess, missing it, trying to do a U-turn.
I'm like, yeah, it happens when you're on the phone and you got the directions set up. I was like, girl, if you don't hang up, he's giving you like, doo-doo. I'm like, oh, I know that noise.
Doo-doo. And then you go, make a U-turn, make a U-turn. And I'm like, motherfucker, I know I'm supposed to make a U-turn. Stop telling me. I just and she literally she was like, I'm so lost. And I was like, oh, and it's not just about the driving, is it?
Oh, oh my God, I am literally like, you are way too pretty for this. For Mark Daly, girl, I wish you would. It's like, girl, dump his ass. Mm-hmm. Please.
And didn't you love the hot mic moment with her lawyer that they did the Bravo scene? They did the Bravo scene of here are your options and blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And when are people going to learn to wait till the mic pack is off before you keep talking?
This is like, we are getting hot mic moments all day. I'm like, oh, fourth wall band, bro. We getting hot mics. I'm like, y'all just don't give a damn, do you? Like, look, quarantine has made us lazy. We are not editing this out anymore. Like, y'all need to see that this is not fake. This is real life. Because he's like, you need to get your shit together. It's like, ooh, he ain't wrong. And it's like, and now, I'm tired of these black women, these black celebrities that get with these men. I'm like, yeah, I'm glad you're saying this, because I'm sorry, I'd have dropped Mark Daly right on off. I'm like, and it's not his failure, but it's kind of like, they are going to blame Kenya because they're looking at how she was on the show. And it's like, oh, how can she maintain a good relationship? And I'm like, but her being a doormat is not going to make her look any better. Because I thought it was shady as hell when they said, I'm a good communicator. Yes. And then they showed this stuff and I was like, so that's not what she's talking about. Y'all shady as hell.
I was just about to say that. I actually thought that was super fucked up. Like, I know that the editors, that's their job, that they have all this footage, they're going to use it. But in a way, it almost made it like, well, she deserves what she got.
Right.
And nobody deserves to be in a relationship like that. Like, yes, you obviously have some self work to do. You have things to work on, but we all do. And I just I didn't like that they chose that opportunity. I love the flashbacks. Yes. Pick a different way to show them. Mm-hmm. But in that instance, it was just okay, this is kind of fucked up.
I'm like, I know what she meant. It was like the bad part. As soon as she said it, I'm like, they gonna show where she's
roll the tape.
It was like, roll that beautiful beam footage. I'm like, oh God. But the bad part about it is the ones they shown, those weren't ones I was thinking of. I'm like, she's been worse. So I feel like they were being nice and messy at the same time. It's like, so she's been worse than this, guys. Y'all didn't show her say, you can get off my boat. It's like, no, there's so, in that bad part, she has so much, but still, she need to get off this ride. And now we're also going to see that I didn't know Riley was 18. I was like, she's 18? I'm like, what the hell have I been? She's graduating school. I'm like, I should have realized that because she did graduate. And now we're bringing back up the tale of Block and how he owes Candy child support. And Riley's like, girl, it's like, yeah, he can pay for this school. I don't need a relationship with him, but he can pay for this school. And I know Candy has it, and I get that she has it, but that girl's going to NYU. So that's NYU and out of state tuition. So yeah, no, Block can like pay for like 2 semesters.
Yeah. And I don't like the argument of like, just because somebody has something means that they aren't deserving of help from the father of their children. Like, he's still the father. He's still and if he didn't want to make a financial contribution, he had every opportunity to make a person contribution by being a father. I just like, I feel for that. And I feel, and I always am hesitant when like you bring up people that didn't sign up to be a cast member. But at this point, Riley's 18. She's an adult. If she wants to bring up her relationship with her dad, like that's her choice and that's her right because she went through it. Yeah.
Because it's like at 18, she's just, it's like, there's a point where it's going to stop that your child is going to want you and around. It's usually around 15. So it's like, she's a little bit late, I guess, but that's probably the first time she said it on camera. Like, yeah, I'm good on him. Because one, her mother is married to Todd. So it's not like she doesn't have a male figure in her life. And I know there's probably other men around Candy. So it's not like she is lacking. It's like, but I think she's gotten to, because you'll get to that point of, yeah, I don't need you in my life anymore. And that's sad when you think about it, because like, this is still your dad. And as someone who's really close to her dad, I'm like, I don't know of a time that I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of good on you, but that's mostly because he's in my life. So there's the rub. So it's like, if he wasn't in my life, I'd be like, yeah, I probably would feel the same way. Like, yeah, I'm good on you. And it's like, you can't force her to do it just because I'm your dad. I'm like, oh, okay, prove it. Like, do stuff that dads do and don't do it for show. Because I'm like, it's not like he is hurting. He's not Sheree's ex-husband going, look, I ain't got 2 nickels to rub together, so I can't help you. And it's like, no, boyfriend, no. Just whatever. And
yeah. And I think her seeing that he has the capability of being a father to other people, like I cannot imagine how that must feel, that like, it's not that he's just this guy that's like, doesn't have the capacity to be a dad. Yeah. He's literally choosing to be an active father to other people, but just not you. Because
that's gotta stink.
Yeah.
It's like, you're saying you're being father to other kids and you can't even call me. We're not even Facebook friends. It's like, come on. Absolutely not.
Yeah.
It's like, girl, please. We're getting a peek into Cynthia the Bridezilla, which I was not surprised by, but then I thought about her weddings. So the one in Anguilla, I'm like, I feel like that's not something I want to, because it's a vow renewal. But yeah, her first wedding, yeah, I can see why she's like, no, I gotta get this nasty taste out of my mouth. And y'all are never gonna let Mal and her mama rest. They will never know peace, because every time they will bring up the fact that y'all hid that marriage. It's like, y'all never let this go. This is great. It's like, oh, this is messy as hell. It's like, and some people were haters. I'm like, and you're going to use her mama and her sister. It's like, y'all, come on. But yeah, she was like torn up emotionally about this wedding. And now she's financially in a better place. Because I also think, I don't even know if Mike is better off financially. I don't know that. It's like, but also he's not Peter Thomas. And there's a part of me that really is attracted to Peter. And I think it's because he's Jamaican. I don't know why. I can't explain it, y'all. I don't know what it is. It's the hot Jamaican. And it's just, he's Jamaican. I don't know what this is. I don't know what to say. I can't explain it. So I get why
we were attracted to who we're attracted to. I know we'll get into Potomac, but I cannot help myself. Brown Dick Chris, like that man, especially
he got high up on the house husband list. Him and Sean, it's like Sean worked his way up. PK, where I was like, oh, y'all showing off in the pandemic. Oh, okay, y'all trying to get on the list with Juan.
With Juan Dixon.
With Juan. It's like Juan is the list. I feel like
yeah, exactly.
Like, how is he the list? It's like Joe Gorga's on it, but yeah, you can.
No. His Instagram inspirational quotes really.
Yeah, they're like cringy. It's like
pretty. That's a boner killer right there when he's like, got his misspelled inspirational quote.
It's like that's the wrong there, Joseph. What is this? It's like so. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they got married, so it's like I'm like I know how this ends. They still got married, so it's fine. But it's gonna be very interesting. But I got when Mike was like, aren't I enough? And I was like, when she said women are different, at first I was like, no. But also, we did not get married in a museum with the dinosaurs. You did. And so I could see why you're like, I gotta fix this. But please have it outside. But I think they wanted to have it outside, but it rained that day or was going to rain. So they moved it inside, which
I mean, it's ironic, and I don't think anybody's really saying it, but it's ironic that there were 2 Bravo weddings that day, and perhaps one was more safe than the other, and the one that was safer was to a Fox News anchor. Like, Kelly Dodd and Cynthia got married the same day, and Kelly Dodd's was like this intimate outdoor thing with masks, and Cynthia was a 250 person wedding. So, I mean, yeah, it is what it is. And I think just like we all hate Kelly Dodd so much that we just were like, and we like Cynthia. So we're like, it's fine. But it's like,
he's like, it's not. But the good thing is that nobody got COVID, but still somebody could have. It was more risk at yours. I'm like, Cynthia looks amazing. I'm just like, I think that's, we'll get into this with Potomac. He's like, you give more grace to your faves, and it's like, we fucking hate Kelly Dodd, and then she was sniffling after, like, I hope you got COVID. I'm like, I really don't hope anybody gets this.
No, I don't wish it on anybody, but it's still like, yeah, it would be okay. Ironic.
I'm like, oh, you're sick. I'm like, oh, we're just sniffling. It's not COVID. I'm like, okay, I don't care. It's like I don't.
I understood what Mike said though when he was like, do you want the marriage or do you want the wedding? Like, I think that was a really poignant point. And I think that I think a lot of people are going through that right now. Like, I have some friends and some family members that are figuring out what they're going to do with their wedding. And they're having to have these conversations of prioritizing of like, do we want to do a courthouse wedding and then have a celebration when we can? Do we want to just like put it off? And I don't think there's a right answer, but it definitely makes it awkward when it's clear that one party is cool with the like small intimate, let's just have the marriage certificate and call it a day. And Cynthia's like, no. I'm going to have the big TV wedding that's going to be to somebody I love that I get a do-over.
Yeah. It's like, so it's funny you bring that up because Sheena's wedding planner to Mike Shea. So we follow each other on Instagram. She is hilarious because she still does weddings, and she gets on her story and she'll be like, what the fuck is wrong with all of you? Why do you have all these people? I will keep reporting you. I'm like, I love her so much. She is hilarious. And she's a stickler on, no, cut it down. We're having micro receptions. We're not doing this. I'm like, wow. I'm like, yes.
I think I did find her Instagram that day that there was that Vanderpump Rules reunion, and she was going off because it was like showing.
She was. I was like, are you serious? And she's like, It's like, she'll answer you. I'm like, girl, are you serious? I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, this is so great. This is so great. And I like Sheena. So I'm like, oh, Sheena. But
I can both like Sheena and also imagine her as a bride and know that perhaps the wedding planner is being honest in her recollection.
So she was like, okay, let me tell y'all. So see this, let me tell you exactly what happened. I'm like, oh, oh, okay. Okay. Like, I like you. She's fun. She's fun on Instagram. I got to find her name because I'm like blanking on her name because sometimes I miss her stories. So I guess the last part of the premiere is Portia. Portia Luther King. As Marlo called her. I said, please leave us alone. But yeah, I don't know what happened between now and her finding out the Underground Railroad was not, in fact, a train, and her realizing that Hosea Williams is her grandfather. It's like she knew it, but it was like she didn't understand the gravity of it. And now you see her doing everything. And also seeing the part of explaining how she got arrested. Because we're like, oh, okay, you got arrested. It's like, because they didn't tell them where they were going. They marched to different places. The final stop was the AG's house, and they didn't know that. And it was just like, oh, so then it's like, oh, we're going to get arrested. It's like, oh, okay. And they just sat out. I'm like, yeah. So he was ready to charge them with felonies. I'm like, so this is very interesting. You're quick to charge them from being in front of your home, but literally 120 days for Breonna Taylor. You didn't even bring them any kind of charges. And then when you did, it's like, I'm going to charge the wall. You armed a wall. So all walls matter.
Ugh, yeah.
Like, it's just gross. So I think seeing all of her footage, because it really was a lot of it was from her cell phone. Yeah. So it's just really interesting, because I think probably some of that footage, I don't know if it's Bravo cameras and just the news, because I'm like, some of those clips, I'm like, I feel like I saw that on the news.
I honestly feel like there weren't a lot of Bravo cameras there. Like, I think there was that one clip where they're like, cameras off, but like, I don't know if that was Bravo cameras or news cameras.
News cameras were there too.
It almost in a weird way. I mean, it was powerful regardless. Like, I mean, I had chills like the entire time for all of those scenes, but it was almost like more powerful that it was just her phone camera, because it really shows like she was not doing this because she's like, oh, Atlanta's starting, this will be my storyline. Like, she was doing this because she is an activist and she's making a difference, and she's using her platform to really, do the right thing. And so like the fact that like, filming was starting and she wasn't going to be there to shoot those scenes. She's like, no, I'm going to Kentucky. I'm going here. Yeah, like I think it was just so powerful to see. And in a weird way, I'm glad they brought up the Underground Railroad thing, because I've seen people use that as like, well, she's not this because she's not true because
she thought the Underground Railroad was a train. I'm like, yeah, a simple Google search would have helped her. It's okay.
Like, that was ridiculous. But also, like, let's also normalize, along with normalizing pores, let's normalize personal growth in 2020.
Jeez.
Let's normalize learning new information and changing our mind and doing better. And like, what a fucking way to start this season for Portia. Honestly.
Right. Even her like going live with John Ossoff on premiere day. She could be doing other stuff, and she wasn't, because she's always selling like her sheets, which by the way, I do want some, because I'm like, I'm a sucker for some nice sheets. I used to work in domestics at Macy's, so I'm very much like, when people say I want to get sheets from Target, I'm like, no, you don't. I'm like, it's like $3.50. Is that good? No. That's a Bounty paper towel. Get out of my face.
You would be appalled at my sheet situation. I am sleeping on sheets that I had in like college. Like, if you ever come and spend the night, I'm gonna have to go out and buy you some new sheets.
You better excuse me. I'm a snob. I need over 600 thread count. I'm just kidding.
you're gonna sit in you're gonna sit on my guest bed and look at me and be like actually, I'm not quite tired. I think I might go home.
I think I'm just gonna go sleep in the car. Like, why are you sleeping in the car? Because I'm sorry.
Well, you gotta slide in. You gotta slide into Portia's DMs.
I really do. I'm like, can I get a sponsorship? I just want the sheets. I think I'm like, let me see the thread count. Let me. Okay. Is that peanut cotton? Let me see. Now I'm getting all behind the scenes. Y'all like, what the hell is peanut cotton? Girl, it's good cotton. Poly cotton blends. No. Like, if you get like 1,000, 1,200 thread count, if it's a poly cotton blend, it's probably going to feel like about 550, 600 of all cotton. But cotton gets very hot. That's why people like blends. I'm sorry. See, here I go.
I literally, do you see? I'm like, you're speaking a different language, but what I know now is that when I finally am gonna trade in those college sheets, I know whose DMs I'm sliding into. So Portia, I know you listen. How about you send over two sets, please?
Please. I'm like, are you kidding me? I just love her. So the fact that she was like, no, we're going to talk about the runoff, because I mean, this is in December. The runoff is first, I think, is it January 2nd?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, today was the last day to register. Today was an important day.
Yeah, I think it is the last to register, which is super weird when you think about it, because you're like, election day was typically is that, but because it's the runoff, it's like, oh yeah, we can extend it because we got another election. Mm-hmm. So this is going to be very interesting. I think there were a few people going, this was boring, and I'm like, guys, this isn't the Real Housewives of New Jersey where they had the christening and they fought in the premiere. This is not that. And it's like, also with all the protests, with all the we're in a fucking pandemic, we're not doing this. And it's like, it's good to just catch up with people because this was.
And honestly, I don't know if it speaks to your point earlier of like, we just give our favorites more lenience or not, but like hearing them talk about the pandemic, even though, yeah, they're all way richer than me. They have the big houses, they have the pools, they have whatever. It still was like more relatable to me. Like I liked the way that they were all talking about how like, yeah, we have X, Y, and Z, but like, we're still losing our shit too. And there was a weird connection there for me that I was like, okay, this is the first group of housewives, and maybe it's because we're going into the season already in the pandemic, like maybe because we're not seeing the shift, but like I found them talking about it to be way more relatable than how we've seen on OC or Southern Charm. Like I was like, okay, yeah, like I also can't stop eating, and yes, also I'm fighting with my husband about the dishes. Like go on.
I'm gaining weight. I'm like, yeah, because nobody else is talking. Well, I don't watch OC because I don't give a shit. But they're all like, yeah, I gained weight because, we couldn't do anything. We couldn't leave the house. And even when Kenya said I felt like a prisoner in my own home, and it's like, to a certain extent, I can get that because it's literally been since March and it's now December. So I'm like, yeah, it'll be a year in pandemic. It's like, I'm sorry. I don't think January 1 anything is going to change. It's going to take a few months. So yeah, it's going to be about a year. I'm like, am I going to have a pandemic anniversary? It's March 13th. I'm like, I already know mine. March 13th. Let me just throw myself a pandemic party in my house. It'll be over Zoom. That's what we're going to do. Like, because yeah.
Remember when we were all watching Tiger King and baking banana bread? Like, wasn't that just like such a sweet little time for us? Oh, sweet summer children. We're like,
wait a minute. Was Bird Box this year?
I don't know if Bird Box was, but Love is Blind.
My God, yeah.
Remember we all watched Love is Blind. Then we all watched that, not Love Island. What was the one that was, it was like the most convoluted Netflix. Oh, we binge watched it in like one day, me and my husband. I don't know. We went through.
I couldn't get into the circle.
It wasn't the circle. It was the one that they were all, Too Hot to Handle or something, where they were all supposed to be so hot and they couldn't sleep together. That was like the twist. And they literally couldn't. It's at this point that phase of pandemic has passed. If you didn't get into it then, there's no reason.
Mind you, I got into Summer House. I don't know how I got there, but I got into Summer House and Below Deck Sailing Yacht. Raven was like, oh, I'm watching it. And then she's like, yeah, I'm halfway done. It's completion. I got to finish it. I'm like, it's not a bad show. It's just, I felt I don't get seasickness or motion sickness. And I felt motion sickness just watching this show when it just, okay, we're sailing and we're tipping. I'm like, what the hell is going, girl, who's paying for this? Can I get the yacht? Where is Captain Lee? Where is the stud of the sea? Because I can't do this. This little lot. I'm sorry. How much y'all paying to be on this sailing yacht? I know it's not the same as that yacht. And I don't even get to sleep here. Wait, I think you do sleep on it. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. I was just like, y'all leaning too much for me.
Yeah.
Now, I guess next week we'll probably see Drew. Hopefully we'll see more of Tanya. It seems like her and Kenya, Portia and Tanya are cool. Yeah. Because Kenya went on the Wendy Williams and said they not speaking and they're not friends. And I'm like, I feel like you and Portia aren't friends. So how would you know that?
Yeah. Sorry if you hear this. My daughter is now deciding that right now is the time make her strike known.
I have an announcement. I am awake.
And is she? Oh, she is always awake. I'm like, oh God, we're going through like this is, just real life shit. But yeah, we're going through a sleep regression. So I have not slept in like 3 days. So I think I'm extra loopy on this because they have, if there are any parents out there listening, please slide into my DMs. OhnoBravo. I need help. Please, like, unsolicited advice, welcome. Because so my two daughters have bedrooms that are like right across the hall from each other. Like, so if one of them gets going, then the other one wakes up and it's like back and forth. So you calm one of them down, but then the other one's up and it's like back and forth and back and forth. So yeah, just, living the good life over here.
Not living the good life, living high on the hog. What? Like, oh no. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Let's get to Potomac so you can get some sleep. So it is the finally not the finale, the
It
finale.
is the finale.
Because I swear I can feel the frustration from people who are not team Monique. They may be like team Candace, or they may be like me. I'm team both sides, but I'm leaning towards Candace because I don't like liars. Okay. I'm like, I don't see, I am not blind and I'm not stupid. And what you won't do is try to act like I'm stupid. Who are you going to believe? Me or your own eyes? My own eyes, bitch. My own eyes. Like, that's what I believe. So going into this, people were like, who are all either team Monique or team Candace, they're not necessarily budging.
Mm-hmm.
I will say that. And I have from my friend just texted me, said, Atlanta's back on. I'm like, girl, now you know me better than this. I don't know why
I
she
have
did
a
this
friend.
to me.
I love her. She's probably listening to this. She's so supportive, but she's a casual Bravo watcher. Like there's people like us, like there's two types of people. When you hear somebody says, "Oh my gosh, you like Bravo," and then you ask like one question, you can kind of gauge which type of Bravo watcher they are. So my one friend is like a very casual watcher. Like 2 days ago, she's like, "Oh my gosh, did you know that all the Vanderpump Rules people are pregnant at the same time?" I'm like, I sure did. But thank you for that news flash. I love you.
It's like it had been years I've been talking about Atlanta. Then all of a sudden my mother just started watching Atlanta out of the blue. And now she's all in for Potomac. I was like,
is she team Candace or is she team Monique?
So she is team Monique.
Uh-oh. How was Thanksgiving?
Very interesting. God. Thanksgiving's fine because I was like, yeah, we can't talk about this no more. But
we don't talk about religion, politics, or Potomac.
Because like we can't do any of this. Because that's like I got why she had so she's someone who has always liked Monique and does not like Candace. So I feel like for me, that's like that's a Pittsburgh Steelers fan that lives in Pittsburgh. I'm like, well, you live in Pittsburgh. Of course you like the Steelers. Like, who am I to tell you not to like them? So it's like, I get it. I was just like, I didn't like neither one of them coming into this season. And then the more I watch, I'm like, I don't like being lied to. It's like, so, okay, I feel like something's going on here. Because what am I missing? I'm like, I don't like this. So now we get to the finale. And we go into it. We're having a Christmas party. I'm like, oh, that's right. Robin gets engaged. I was like, yeah, because something else is big supposed to happen. I'm like, what else is going to happen?
Yeah.
So we see Karen trying to explain. She's like, I've got my receipts. And as you can see, I am not a liar. I'm like, so Karen, you said out of your face that she wasn't invited. And it was like, Karen, dearest grand dame, grown ass ladies don't have to fucking lie for nobody. If Giselle is not, you're like, if you feel like Giselle is below you, or you're like, I ain't got time, I ain't got to do nothing for Giselle, then what the fuck you lying to her for? Why are you doing this? Because I would have just told her straight up. Also about the drinking thing. It's like, girl, why didn't you, like, why are you lying? And then like, of all people, Ashley is like, oh my God, why can't you be honest? Excuse me. Your main reason why you don't like Candace is that she was questioning you about the drinking that you said you were going to stop. It was like, you are the last person. I know you're not sitting here. Oh, this is why I'm like, y'all need to leave me alone about the whole Ashley thing. I'm like, she was an asshole before that baby. Now she's an asshole with a baby and a baby on the way. Why are y'all doing this?
I have Ashley amnesia. I do. Like Ashley had the baby, and this whole season, I'm like, oh my gosh, Ashley's like, she's so relatable. I love her journey in motherhood. Like maybe it's just I was resonating too much with it. And then I had people like Taria and Real Housewives Orders. Like I had people being like screaming at me, like, don't you remember? And like then this last couple episodes, I'm like, I remember.
Guys, welcome back to the stage. Ashley Darby. I'm like, this is the Ashley we kept talking about. I was sitting here like, Ashley is going to do this thing like, you want an apology, and when you get it, you're like, it's still fuck you forever. I'm like, wait, then that means, because when the whole statement, I was like, oh, okay. But then when she started off with, I am your friend, I was like, I'd have punched her right in her face. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's like, oh my God, I choose violence with you. I can't even talk to you. I choose violence.
I had a very I had a unique situation going into this season because
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm down to about 4 followers at this point. Just might as well finish myself off. Um, I
I'm not.
I was an OG Candy Gal stan. Me,
Okay.
Real Housewives orders. There's probably one other person.
Let me write her down. I'm like, let me see what they
Yeah,
doing in
there's
January.
probably like one other person in our support group that we liked. I liked Candace. I always thought she was great television from like
Mm-hmm.
you rarely have a first season housewife that jumps in, meshes with everybody, gets messy, gets their hands dirty, and that was her for me. I also think that she has the potential to go full villain. She's just
Mm-hmm.
always fighting it. And I
Mm-hmm.
thought I got this weird intuition like going into the season. I was like, I think she's due for a good edit. Like, I
Yeah.
just think she's due for it. And she had the good edit handed to her on a silver platter. And what did she do? Her little thumbs got tired and tweet, 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 tweet. Like
I was like, girl,
if
you
she had
ain't have to
just,
say anything.
if she logged off of social media for this
Mm-hmm.
entire season and just let it play out on
Mm-hmm.
television,
Mm-hmm.
I think that the audience's reception would be much different. But she just shot herself in the foot at every turn with her hateful shit, with her aggressive shit, with just her nasty shit online that like I think people already have such a blind spot for her because they find her annoying. And where I get lost in the Candace and Monique thing, because actually my favorite type of housewives fight is when the audience is divided. I would rather have
Okay.
I would
Okay.
rather have banter and like good conversation going on
Mm-hmm.
in my DMs of like thoughtful, empathetic, like insightful responses to my ideas. Cause I like
Yeah.
that. I like that banter back and forth. Like I actually enjoy that.
Yeah.
It's when it starts at the end of every season, it kind of gets to this point where it's like, okay, it's time for the season to be over now because you start to see it turning from empathetic, insightful discussion to like full on, like we're kind of forgetting this is a television show and it becomes like
Right.
personal attacks of like, oh, you're a team this person, well, fuck off. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's where I'm like, okay, that's not my vibe. Like, no, thank
Right.
you. I don't want any
Yeah.
part of that.
Yeah. I think because I going into the end of after the reunion, I was not a Candace person because I was like, it's really hilarious that you're calling Ashley a bed wench and then trying to explain it. I'm like, no, you're still wrong. You should stop doing that. And then when she called her a roach, and I was just like, so typically darker skinned black women are called roaches, not lighter skinned black women. So I was like, this is very interesting. And I was like, okay, so Candace, you need to just stop. Just get off Twitter. And then when the
Yeah.
fight happened and then the story leaked, then all of a sudden it turned into people just started attacking her because the story was she threw a drink on Monique, who was a fan favorite to some, because I didn't like Monique either. Because everything that people hate about Candace, Monique do the same damn thing. And I'm like, y'all don't see that she's doing that because who she's lodging against is somebody else that you don't like, Giselle. So it was like,
I always liked Monique. For me, Monique was always like one essential oil from telling me she had an exciting business opportunity for me. You know, like she gave me that kind of vibe where I'm like,
Yeah.
are you going to slide into my DMs and tell me I can be a boss babe? Like, I always like, I liked it. I think I would get along with Monique in real life, but my thing is, imagine if you were Candace. This is my like final plea for because I see empathy for both. I have empathy for both. I don't think this is a black and white case. I think that like both were wrong and both were right in different ways. And I can see both sides, but this is my like plea to the people who are like diehard Monique fans. Imagine you were Candace. Imagine that, yes, you went into it thinking it was a housewives show. You were going to give them the old razzle dazzle. You were going to give them a housewives fight. You were going to be shady. You were going to be messy because you're filming a television show where you're literally getting paid to be shady to another person. And then it becomes violent. Not only does it become violent, but then for an entire year, you have all of the social media outlets saying that it was your fault when you know that the hands were put on you first. And then at the end of the day, not only are the blogs and the Instagrams and everybody coming at you, but now the very people who are actually present and witness it are telling you that what happened isn't what happened and that you were just as much to blame. Like that is such a mind fuck. And I can only imagine, like I too would have posted notes saying, you're okay, you're okay, you're okay. Cause that is like gaslighty as fuck.
Absolutely. That's in the fandom. It was kind of like, it was starting to give me Lucy Apple Juicy tease about how literally anytime anybody other than Lisa Vanderpump tweeted, people descended like locusts. I was like, oh, this is why I'm like, I couldn't get on Twitter when Beverly Hills was on, when Vanderpump was still there. And I'm like, y'all don't see Lisa Vanderpump as the villain she is. That's why she's so good at it. It's like, she's so good at it. But I was also on the team of, why are we not mad at Dorit? I was like, I'm sorry. I missed this. Why are y'all not mad at her?
I've always loved Dorit, but I honestly, in that fight, I'm like, at the end of the day, she dropped off the dog at a kill shelter. Why are we not talking about that? Why are we talking about Radar Online?
Instead of returning, but returning the dog, you gave it to another family and they took it to a kill shelter. I'm like, so first of all, why are there kill shelters still around? But I'm not the governor, so I can't tell you. But I'm just sitting here like, why are we not mad at Dorit? Why is it like, oh my God, I just had to get rid of the dog. So you didn't do it properly, and now we're all mad at Lisa Vanderpump because she's the villain that y'all don't know about because she's so good at it. And now it's like, wait, why are we not mad? I was sitting here like, y'all, and then she had this really good edit last season. I'm like, what the fuck?
I love Dorit. I've always loved Dorit. I find her
I'm like, why are you getting the good edit? I'm like, I don't like Dorit. She got rid of a dog. It's like, why? Yeah.
This is the cognitive dissonance for me though. Like, I am the biggest dog lover and I still like adore Dorit. I don't.
Right. You're like, I'm sorry. I'm like, you're like, it's a dog.
No, but I love dogs, but when it comes to Dorit, you're
just like, she getting back, but it's like, yeah, but I still like her fashion because her Instagram is just like, it kills me every time. I'm like, this is so great. I love this so much. It's so chaotic. I love it.
Ryan Bailey and his Facetune Bureau of Investigation. Anytime Dorit posts something and I know what's coming. He posted, I'm like, I know what post is coming next.
It oh shoot. Let me see what Ryan's doing. Is he available? Is he post yet? Let me put that bell on so I know exactly what he posts.
But don't you kind of think that that's what Karen was trying to pull, was the LVP like behind the scenes thing, but she's just not, because Karen, I actually thought like played it. I believed her when she said she was going to support both women. And I actually thought that one scene she had with Candace where she was like, when you messed up, I was there for you. And I'm going to do the same for Monique. Like, I thought that was a really poignant, important scene. And then it's like, you made it this far, Karen, and then you just fell on your face because now both of them are pissed.
You butt fumbled it. Yeah, it was like you butt fumbled it, because I thought it was really weird that Monique was going out of her way to say how supportive she was. And I'm sitting here like, that is because you know better. It's like, Monique's a lot of things, but she ain't all that stupid. So no, she can't shit on the fan favorite from the series. So even though your fan favorite is treating you like the side chick because she didn't tell her main chick, like, try to sneak you around. It was like, Karen, even if that's not your intention, I need you to dial it back and realize that's how that looks, because you're saying, oh, I told her 4 and told you 6:30. So see, hands clean. I'm like, so here's the thing you're forgetting, that you called her and said, come at 5 or 5:15, 5:30. And she just happened to be late. What if Monique was late and she showed up at like 4:45, close to 5, and all of a sudden Candace see that and she'll be like, you said she wasn't invited. It wasn't that you didn't say she was coming. They said, are you inviting her? No, I wouldn't, because y'all don't like that.
And see, this is where I don't understand why Karen did that, because she's been very upfront the entire season. She hasn't hid the fact that she's going to stay supporting Monique. So why couldn't she have just said, I understand that you guys would feel uncomfortable. The law is involved. You guys can't be in the same room. I'm going to have her come early because this is my brand. I want everybody to be supportive of this brand. That's all she had to do, because she had already laid the groundwork. She'd already pissed off Candace by saying she's not going to pick a side. So then just say that. But instead, by like having this lie, it's only going to bite you in the ass. Even if you had the purest of intentions, which I'm not sure that she did, but like, let's pretend she just didn't want to know.
Yeah.
Like, the call sheet is going to be there. They're going to see that Monique was there. Ashley Darby. You think Ashley Darby is not going to tell everybody that
Ashley is nobody's friend on that show, because she had no problem throwing Karen right under the bus. Because I think I was watching the after show and Karen's like, I should have told Ashley. I'm like, yeah, see, I don't think this would have played out the way you thought. She still would have covered your ass. She would, because she had no problem telling Monique that, oh yeah, she said you weren't invited. And Monique was like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, see, Monique, you're playing this very smartly. Karen Huger is the fan favorite on that show. I mean, it's apparently subjective, but
yeah,
believe
nobody's
me,
filming with her. What is she going to do?
no.
Deny a filming
What's she gonna do?
opportunity with
The only
Karen?
people that's gonna do it is probably at this point Karen and maybe Ashley, even though Ashley was like, Charisse had nothing to do with the rumors. I'm like, okay, so why are you coming out with this now? It's like, this is very interesting the way that y'all are moving. And it's like, Karen, you could have just recognized. So when I look at how Candace is reacting to Karen, it makes, see, this is why it's like going back to watch this, is like, this is a lot. So when Ashley was attacking Karen in that car in season 3, Monique was laughing and chuckling. Candace said, leave Karen alone. She made, so for what I've noticed with Candace is like, she'll have a clear side. And if you are her friend, she will be on your side. And then she's watching the two people that kind of aren't on their side. And it's rotating around Ashley because Monique did it to her. And now Karen is I was like,
and I felt for Candace again, like, and I want to make it clear, like, I feel for Monique and I understand where she's coming from too. Yeah. Like that therapy scene of Monique, like that was a lot. And that was like, I shed, like I was getting teary eyed. Like I understand her pain. I understand where it was coming from. I wish that she had the ability to then go in a confessional and just say, I made a mistake, full stop, and not like continue saying, but I was defending like, it just makes it like, it makes all of that important stuff that came out in the therapy just mean nothing if you're not going to like make any changes. But with Candace, the thing that really resonates with me is I always think that she has viewed Karen as that like surrogate mother figure because she has my personal biggest trigger on Bravo, Dorothy, the human equivalent of like a thumbtack in the toe. Like the woman is just,
I had no idea her wedding was at the beginning of the season. I'm like, oh shit, it's at the beginning. I thought it was like in the midpoint or towards the end. I'm like, oh, we're starting the season with this. Oh, okay. All right.
Like, she is, so I think that she really viewed Karen as this like really important relationship to her. And now for her to realize like, oh, maybe Karen didn't view me that way. And I think Candace, unfortunately, like her go-to thing is to be vicious when she's hurt. And so rather than just being like, my feelings are so hurt, Karen, she's going to be just vile at the reunion. I can just feel it in my bones towards Karen. Yeah.
And it's going to sound bad, but Karen's going to have this coming because it's like, you can't sit here and say you've been a stellar friend. I'm like, no, stellar friend does not lie to me in my face. That is not stellar friend. Or at the most, pull her aside and say, I'm having this party. I'm going to bring it up to the group. I'm letting you know. Because it shouldn't have came from Robin, but I feel like it's weird that everybody else is asking if Monique is coming and not Candace. And she's the one that got actually assaulted by Monique. It's like, she should be the one. Because I have a feeling like if she finds out that she's not coming, she's like, okay, then I won't be there. And it's not that I don't support you. It's just like, no, I'm just not going to be there. Because Giselle wasn't there. It had nothing to do with Monique or Candace or anybody. She was like, no, your person is a piece of shit. And he was like, y'all keep my name out your mouth. I'm like, why are you acting like you didn't talk about her? So this is so weird to me.
I mean, honestly, they need to pull up another chair at the reunion that's just like, Twitter.
Please,
Twitter just needs to be another.
Twitter just let it scroll. Because I'm sitting here like, you're acting like she should just put up with it. I'm like, girl, what you doing? And I did feel bad for Monique because I was like, oh, we're going to hear something. So when she was talking about being the only Black child in an all-white school and not feeling like you belonged, and I was like, yeah, I can feel that. This is where I got off on the train. You had no problem. If Candace did not apologize to Ashley, you would have been fine with her being iced out. You would have been fine with it. And it's like, so while I hear you, it makes me think about how she's acting with this group of women. Because the person that clocked her as a social climbing opportunist was Charisse. She clocked that real quick. It's like, oh, so you're not really my friend. You just want to use me as a step stool. She's like, oh my God, why would you think that? And it's like, she has several reasons to think that, but that's fine. It's like, okay, you don't understand why. That's fine. That's fine. So it's like, I get her wanting to belong and that. So because she seemingly has busted her ass to get to a place where she has, affluent lifestyle. She's in different rooms. She has the life that a lot of people want. And to see
that
somebody
fish tank, I would live in that fish tank that she has.
I'm like, I like the lake house. I'm like, I know y'all don't like the lake house. There's no service. I'm sorry, there's peace and quiet. That's all I thought. I'm like, peace and quiet, silence. So to watch her say that I don't care that Giselle doesn't like me, I'm like, so I can tell you, baby, you're full of shit. It really bothers you because you're like, I'm at this point, and for somebody like a Giselle to just go, that doesn't impress me. Now what else you got? And it's like, you don't like me? What's wrong? I'm the shit. And her pastor clocked that on her. It's like, if people don't like you, you have a big problem with that. And you're just like saying, oh no, I don't care what Giselle thinks. I'm like, you do though. But honestly, and I like Giselle, you should actually pay her dust. It's like, girl, see, this is like, if your home is happy and your life is happy, why the fuck do you care about what Giselle Bryant thinks? It's like, why do you care? It's like, you care. Stop lying. And for then you're getting your, like someone to flat out ask you if you're remorseful. I am remorseful for my actions, but I was defending myself. And that is when you saw a lot of people just go, yep, done. Like,
she had me for a minute. She had me there, and she's had me a couple different times. And the thing about Monique is like, I actually find her the most likable when she's not trying to be perfect.
Correct.
Like, I find her so relatable when she is being honest about the things that she is insecure about, or the things that she's struggling with, or the things that she is not happy with, because I'm like, oh, you're stunning. You're perfect. You have this great family. You've got this beautiful husband and baby and family and fish tank and houses and all of this, and like, but like, you still struggle too, I'm gonna keep going back to that fish tank.
That fish tank it really is goals. I'm not even gonna lie. So I'm like, no, it's like, that's
I will
not that bird though. Like,
tank,
girl, you can keep that potty training bird that you have. I'm like, no.
Well, that's where, actually, if I'm being honest, that's where my team Candace allegiance started at the top of the season, when she had that bird potty trained, and I had a 2-year-old looking at me in the eye and just peeing on the floor in defiance. Like,
you're like, that's it. Fuck that bird. I'm like,
fuck that bird. No, but I thought that therapy scene was so, and also that scene with her pastor, like, there have been these glimmers of like, oh, okay, I see it. Like, I see what's happening. I get it.
There it is. I'm
there
like,
it is. And
there
then,
it is.
But then she doesn't have the ability to just like sit in that vulnerability for a minute, to just sit in that uncomfortable feeling of like, shit, I'm not perfect. And having one confessional where she looks into the camera and she says, I fucked up and I feel terrible. And I wish that I had reacted differently. And she can still say, things are never going to be the same with Candace. Candace pushed me to my brink. Like I was pushed to a point of no return, but there's nothing wrong with saying, me and Candace are never going to be friends. I don't fuck with her anymore. And still saying, I am so sorry for my actions, and I'm wrong, and I want to do better. But she like literally can't. She isn't at this point in time, and hopefully at the reunion we'll see it, but I kind of don't think so.
I don't think she's going to.
I just don't think she's comfortable enough just sitting with the fact that she's not perfect.
Right. Because I think even the way that the fight happened is based around you wanting to seem perfect on the show. You want to control the reality that we see. And I'm like, sometimes that's not, see, this is you, Monique, you've been on this show a little too long. I mean, it's only been 3 seasons, but that's not the point. It's like, well, 4 seasons at this point. You've been here for a little while. You know for a fact, you try to keep shit secret, it's going to come out on the show. Which is why Mary Cosby is like, no, let me put all this shit out. Okay? Let me tell y'all everything. I'm going to be looking real loopy. I'm like, I don't know how the internet works, and I'm going to look like a loofah, but still. I'm like, she's going to put it all out. I'm like, Monique, you can't control this. And I'm like, I'm sitting here like, you hit Candace, not because she did like something out of the way. She didn't, because y'all were going back and forth. This wasn't like she got in your face and tried to jump in your face. Because when I think about the near violence, you say you are pregnant. I'm like, this is a red flag that this woman don't care if you are pregnant with your rainbow baby, and you're saying, I will drag you pregnant and all. I'm like, okay, so see, this this ain't the person you want to deal with because she's ready to fight you pregnant. No. You don't want to mess with somebody like that because she's crazy. So then when I think about her and Robin, it's like, I must have missed this part and I blanked out it, which is why it's like, that's why I like Potomac, because their scenes are full of a lot of shit.
Mm-hmm.
So I forgot the part where Monique said they were arguing far away. Monique says, come say that shit in my face. Oh, okay. And Robin walked right up and said, oh, I'm in your face. What are you going to do?
Yeah, but Robin is the one. Robin, and I have
Robin
said this.
Will beat your ass. I'm like, you better leave. I'm like, I am from Baltimore, so it's Robin. We will beat your ass. I'm like, see, we're not going to start no fight, but we will finish it. Please don't test me. Mm-hmm. I'm like, yeah, because Robin's about to beat Ashley's ass too. See, that was the fight that I wanted to see. She's like, if ain't no all these damn cameras on around, I beat her ass. I'm like, see, she has a reason to beat your ass, Ashley. She has a reason to beat your ass. It's like, you're just mad. I need Monique to just be honest and say, there's a lot of shit going on in my life and I am mad. You can't sit in front of that pastor, that man of God, and cry and say she didn't deserve that. You can't say it to Ashley. And then we at the finale, you going, I was defending myself. But you told your pastor that what happened, she didn't deserve. Which one is it, Monique?
And this is where Monique lost me the first time, was when the fact that up until the fight, she was saying that the wine came and she reacted. And it's like, okay, clearly you had the footage. It's one thing. Happened. It's one thing. And I've been in situations where things happen and everything's happening so quick, your adrenaline's going and like, you don't quite have the pieces all together. I get that. I get in the moment if she's thinking, okay, I felt a nudge, there was wine, and then I just reacted. Okay, fine. You blacked out, you blanked out, whatever. I don't know if somebody who's blacked out rage would then like calm themselves down enough to be able to like sprint after somebody, but that's neither here nor there. But you have the footage to know what actually happened. So then for you to be perpetrating this narrative that you were responding and defending yourself, when also like, I'm sorry, Candace is a lot of things. Is she gonna like, if it came to blows, are you ever defending yourself against Candace? Like she's somebody that's gonna be like,
that's the thing. It is like, it's really interesting to watch people try to apply hood rules to Candace. Candace ain't from the hood, so she don't know these rules. Because one, I'm looking at it like, so I've been in the hood a little bit. You flip my hair, that means you ready to fight. Because one, this is how I know Candace didn't want to fight. She ain't walk around that table. She really wanted to fight. She'd have got in her goddamn face. And it's like, you want to stop, or been like, stop touching me. Stop touching me. And it's like, she wasn't ready. And then when they got separated, she ain't trying to beat her ass. She was just standing there. I'm like, y'all better get off me. Y'all better get her away from me because I'm going to beat her ass. None of that happened. That's not Candace. So you can't apply hood rules to somebody who's never been there. That's like trying to apply me to farm rules. I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on there. It's like, I don't know farm. We got to get this up by sunrise. Okay, well, I ain't know. I don't know crows waking my ass up.
I had the best comment, and it's actually from somebody who was Team Monique, but the way that they phrased this, like I was just cackling to myself. They said Candace was playing public school. No, let me make sure I get this right. Candace is a private school girl playing public school games. Like she was running her mouth. She was playing her games. Like she was going to go back and forth. She was twirling. She was doing the twirl in your cheetah print. She was not expecting it to get to violence. And I understand. And yes, Candace is extra and all that. I don't think that means that she's not capable of being traumatized. And I think that we need to stop thinking that everybody's threshold of trauma is the same. Yeah. Like I believe that she went into this thinking it was a Housewives, she's going to give the best Housewives fight. She's going to make that trailer.
She's going to be arguing that they've been doing all season.
It's literally what they are paid for. Like in real life, if there was not cameras, yes, then maybe her going back and forth. I'm never a proponent of somebody's like asking for it, but I understand somebody being pushed to a breaking point. And I mean, at the end of the day, like Candace was never asking for a fight. And I hate the butter knife thing. I hate that.
It drives me nuts because I'm like, y'all, you know what? Y'all are really funny because you are acting like somebody like Ashley could talk cash shit to you in your home. It's like, you ask her to leave once and she don't leave. I'm like, okay, I'd have been like, Chris, get her the fuck out of my house. Mm-hmm. Get the fuck out. So y'all acting like she is not within. I'm like, someone said, pull the butter knife. I'm like, it was on the table. She had it as a microphone. Then she started tapping. And then she was like, get out of my house. She was like, she was literally, I feel like she put a dent. You will not talk about my mother in my home. And I'm like, see, this is Candace. You better than me. Cause I'm like, I know this bitch is not talking about my mother. This is my mother's house. I'm like, your husband bought your mother a house. You can shut the entire fuck up. Like he pays your mama's mortgage. He does. I split the mortgage with my mother. And also I come from generational wealth. I know you not talking. You dirty, raggedy bitch. I'm like, it's so much you can say with Ashley and she tries it. I'm like, why are you acting like she's coming out of her face with nothing? I'm like, you better than me because I told you to get the fuck out. Y'all acting like y'all want to beat her ass. Oh, I would have. I'm like, I told you I'd have grabbed her by her little puff on her head and said, get the fuck out of my house. I told you to leave. She was not scared because she came back in twice. So please spare me with this fucking butter knife.
And I think the thing with the butter knife, I mean, Taria, my Bravo lawyer,
it's like, excuse me, I need you to talk to my lawyer. She will DM you just like Candace's lawyer. Hello, I am Stephanie's lawyer. So let me just tell you. So episode 3.
No, but she made the good point. And I am both sides. I see both sides. But in this particular argument, you cannot bring up the butter knife without also bringing up the umbrella. If we're going to go tit for tat, if we're going to look at the history, then there are two sides of the story. And I'm personally saying, I don't think either one of the women have a quote unquote history of violence, a history of aggressive behavior. I think they have a history of being on a housewives show. Like at any point, any of them could like roll the footage and there can be like, that's literally, they're paid to be confrontational. And this is just an unfortunate thing because I think it got to a place it didn't need to get to. Like, of course it didn't need to get to violence. And then I think if Monique hadn't had to take the time to apologize or could have just said, hey, I need time to myself. I'm going to get there. Like, just take a minute.
Or at least communicate with her. I mean, this is almost a month after it happened she pressed charges.
Yeah. And then Candace pressing charges elevated it. I understand her being like, okay, so I'm not going to get an apology. I'm going to get something like out of here. Now, do I think that she needed to like pursue it to the fullest extent of the law? Like she said, no, of course not.
But that's the other thing. This is when you know that laws are so different everywhere else. Because one, it's like, second degree assault is a misdemeanor. I was like, she ain't gonna get no time. And then you look it up, it's like, wait, why does a misdemeanor have 5 to 10 years of jail time? I'm like, what? It's like, it's a misdemeanor. It's like, this is crazy. But she's also first time offense. She's in a well-to-do. She's a upstanding pillar of the community. Nothing is going to happen. And I like how people are like, oh, that's because they could see the fault. I'm like, it's also because this is the housewives. They can't put this in the court. There is like, this is not the first time someone's pressed charges against another housewife, and they always make it go away.
I didn't think it was allowed to press charges.
They can't sue each other, which is why Vicky had to like drop her suit against Kelly Dodd for the reunion. They couldn't do that. It's like we can't do this because I mean, hello, Portia got charges pressed by her by Kenya. No one told Kenya she was wrong. So that's the part that I'm like, y'all being super weird about this because no one told Kenya that she was wrong to press charges. You actually kind of figured she would because they're not friends. This is different. These two people were friends. And this was not the same thing as Portia because literally it was like she kept putting stuff in her face. She threw that scepter. So that should have been your clue to leave her alone. And it's like these two were, Monique and Candace were arguing and Monique wants to be like, I want to see clear fault. I'm like, yeah, so it's not as clear, which is probably also the reason why I got dropped. It's not that clear. It's like, so it feels like it's like semantics somewhere in there. And it's like, but you're still not owning your part. So everybody's like, sorry, go ahead.
No, and I just think the thing that's like that's getting lost in all of this is actually that it's super sad that like they were friends, even if neither of them will admit it. There was real love lost there. And I actually think the two of them could have been really good for each other in a friendship. Like I think that Candace is authentically herself, good or bad. And I think that would be so refreshing for Monique to hang out with and see somebody who's like authentically themselves, messy, and good, bad, ugly.
Fun. And that's the thing. Monique and her seem very, very fun.
And then Monique could have talked. Yeah. And then and Monique could have taught Candace about like reeling it back in and like thinking before like there are things that they could have learned from each other, but unfortunately
that is the bad part, because one, Monique is the one who encouraged Candace to go after Charisse and Giselle, mostly Charisse. And it was like, y'all encouraged that. I'm like, y'all liked her mouth when she was defending you, but the minute it stopped, it's like, oh, your mouth is a problem. I'm like, so either it's a problem or it's not. It's like, oh, it's fine when she's defending y'all asses, but it's not when she's like, why are you treating me this way? It's like,
yeah, it's just a mess. And
it's just terrible. I'm like, I don't think either one of these women are not irredeemable, because I think one, that defensiveness that Monique is doing about this, she's always done it. She has always done it. You invited Robin into your home for a party. You wanted to sit down and talk to her about, your brother's IG page. I just want to see what's going on. You didn't like Robin's answer. Well, I ain't got time for this. I got a party to go to. I'm like, you engaged me, ma'am. I was not going to bring this up to you. Because Robin's like, I'm not going to bring this up. This is her home. I'm not going to bring up at a party. And here you go. And it's like, Monique's always done this defensive thing. And I'm like, and it's probably has to do with what she brought up in her counseling session about like always being on guard because of not having to fight to fit in. So it's like I see it. I'm like, baby, I'm a Black girl too. I see why you're like this, but baby, I need you to get into real therapy. You're gonna need a few years. I would say about 4 or 5 that you need to actually get into and actually deal with your shit without blaming somebody else. You hitting Candace has nothing to do with Candace and everything to do with you. And the minute you find that out is when you'll see your breakthrough. But sorry, Giselle does not need to like you. Candace did not make you put your hands on her. You did that. This is a choice. You made a choice. You are not going to stay here and actually say, you need to care more about my kids than I do. I'm sorry, sweetheart. If you have more to lose, why are you making this choice? Putting your hands on her is a choice. It's not a choice you should have made. It's not a choice that I'm going to be like overly judgmental with you about, because I understand about snapping. Because I saw when she was like, I blacked out. People were like, I don't think she blacked out. I'm like, oh, she did. It was the minute she was standing there.
There was a darkness in her eyes that was like whoosh. Yeah,
she was like when she was standing there holding Candace's hair and not moving. It's like, and she was like, let me go. I'm like, okay, she's gone. That's the moment that she blacked out.
Yeah.
She was gone. There was nothing that y'all could have said. I'm like, she's not even trying to do anything. She's just standing there holding her hair. That's it. I'm like, oh, she's gone. And it's like, you can come back from this. You really can, but it requires you to be a little bit more humble. And baby, she ain't doing that.
Especially because she is a fan favorite. She has people in her corner who are going to love her unconditionally, who are going to actually probably respect her journey more. And then there are people like me who, like, I'm not necessarily a Monique stan, but I get it. I see her. Like, I might not get it fully. Like, I'm a white girl, but like, I get her. I get her. Like, but you know what I mean? Like, I get her. I see her. Like, I understand what it's like to like want to be so bottled up and perfect and like portray a certain image. And it's so important for this. And like, I resonate with that. I get it. And I understand what it's like to like snap and be like mortified and be like, fuck, like, fuck.
And there was no fuck moment for her. She wasn't like, fuck, I messed up. It's like, I can't believe she took me there. I'm like, yeah. So that means you are Pinocchio. You are a puppet. If she can guide you anywhere, baby, no, you a lot stronger than that. And it's like, I get that. You got to have that reputation. You're a Black woman. You are in these rooms that are majority white. You live in Potomac. Potomac is very white. And I think people keep forgetting that because this is a Black franchise. I'm like, Potomac's a very white city, guys.
No, I remember when Potomac kids, you know, I'm a Maryland girl too. I remember when they announced Potomac and I was like, okay,
that's all very interesting. Because even with Atlanta, they introduced it with Kim Zolciak, and I'm like, but Atlanta's a very Black city. And then all of a sudden she left, but it wasn't instant. They did it with Married to Medicine too. They had Kari, and I'm just like, it's very interesting. Why? But so now Potomac is like the first all Black initial cast.
And I think people obviously like the whole like joke of it was like, what's Potomac? Where is Potomac?
Like, where's Potomac, Maryland?
I think people assume a certain thing about Potomac. And then, you know, so it is a very white area. Like so I can understand if she is like considering herself to be like the only or one of the only Black people in a room and having that extra pressure. We had that whole conversation of like, interesting though, that the two white bald men on the cast went at it and nobody's saying that they're a disgrace to white men like, everywhere.
Excuse me, why are we not having this discussion about how Mickey Darby can't go nowhere without causing a scene? It's like, why are we not having this conversation that the two Black men have to calm him down? And I think a lot of people missed when Wendy said, girl, like, honey, you can't get involved in this. You're not white. Come on over here. Everyone thought she was talking about his clothes. No, she was talking about the fact that, hey, these two white men can get out the gate. You cannot. Juan, you cannot do it either, baby. We didn't see Ray. Raymond was nowhere around. He was like, nope, we're not doing this.
Karen said, grab your coat. We're above this.
Ray. I was like, yeah. So it's kind of like, so when people were like talking about what Wendy said, I'm like, you do realize Karen, she negated it on Twitter, but she didn't negate it in Wendy's face because she didn't disagree. But, you know, she's like, let me just say, I'm like, so bitch, why you ain't say that in the goddamn room? Why didn't you say, okay, so maybe we'll dial it back with the Black woman thing. I get what you're saying, but this is just about Monique because Monique don't represent everybody. And that's not fair to Monique. She don't represent all Black women because there's no possible way. But that whole reputation that I gotta remain poised, that is the plight of Black women in corporate America. It's like, I can't, if I do anything, I raise my voice at all, I'm the angry Black woman. If I'm doing fighting, I'm always going to be the aggressive, fighty Black woman. And that's something that honestly Monique needs to get delivered from. I'm like, baby, you can do everything right. Never lay a hand on someone and someone's still going to hate you because you're Black. It's like, so Monique, you should be better than this. And I'm like, I'm just disappointed. I'm like, it's going to take her some time. You've had a whole fucking year.
Yeah.
You should be at this place of, I can just apologize and say I'm owning my part instead of she need to understand that she don't need to push people. I'm like, so first of all, you don't think you telling her that your friendship is a facade, she is dust behind me, we were never real friends, you don't think you went too far? Because you started that physical fight and you started that verbal fight too. You could have just let her little toast, even if you feel like you wanted to be shady in your little thought bubble. You ain't had to say nothing. Oh, you love me now because you got some liquor in you. She been doing that the whole damn season. I'm like, girl, stop. And she walks away.
I thought the twirling and stuff, like I thought that was like, funny.
Oh,
I was laughing and I thought, and like, twirl with your cheetah print. And she's like twirling. Like I almost thought that it was like,
oh, we're being shady. It was being fun.
I thought it was something like that I would have done to kind of be like, because I'm like the class clown, right? Like my role in the group is like, if I feel tension, I'm gonna like, hey, look over here, it's fine. Right. Like I almost thought that was her trying to like cut tension a little bit. Right. And I it worries me when I see the previews of the finale that Monique is coming with the binder, because I'm like, that does not scream. It's gonna be all
full off with Jamal.
Yeah, but it's like that for me. That doesn't scream, I've done a bunch of work and I'm ready to apologize.
That screams sociopath.
That screams like I know that I can't win with Candace, so I'm going to drop a bomb over here and let the ashes fall while I just sit back. I also I would love to see this exact same cast next season. And I know that there are rumors that Monique is going to leave and Candace is going to be fired, and we're going to be like all new. But I want it to be the same.
I kind of wanted. I honestly, I do too. I don't think anybody needs to be fired. I feel like if Monique doesn't come back, it's going to be her choice. It's not going to be Bravo's choice. She's going to be like, I don't need this. I have 4 homes. Yeah, like you don't. And it's like, I want you to get here. So I have this is a hot take about Dorothy, because a lot of people are talking about like, oh my God, they're in such good space. I'm like, I have a hot take. Dorothy didn't like Monique. She's never liked Monique. So she's actually fine with this, which is why she's like, get her the fuck out of here. I don't think Dorothy ever liked her. And I was
this is my hot take about Dorothy in that codependent mess of a relationship. Dorothy, I'm not exaggerating, is my biggest trigger on Bravo. She is the human equivalent of stubbing your toe in the middle of the night. Like, the woman makes my blood pressure rise. I think it's partly because she's a therapist, partly because she is just like, I cannot imagine like anything that Candace does. I'm like, yeah, you had Dorothy as a mother. I understand why you might be a little broken.
It's like looking at it, I can understand why she gets from what Kelly Dodd thinks she's doing. If you throw
Yeah.
Knife, I'm gonna throw a nuke. That is actually what Candace does. But I think it's mostly because I can't talk back to my mother. So if you think I'm gonna take some bullshit from you, you have another thing coming. It was
And
like,
she's
I can
been
see that.
gaslit her whole life. Her mom
Her
is a
whole life.
therapist, so she's probably been told all the things
Like,
why
you're
she's
wrong. You need to get your shit
Yeah.
together. I'm like, you're my mother. You raised me. What are you doing?
So this is my thought about Dorothy. I think that basically this whole situation pushed Candace back into Dorothy's arms. That Candace was starting to grow some independence. She was starting to foster her own. She was starting to spread her wings. She was starting to develop these relationships. She had this relationship with Karen. She had these like healthy female friendships that maybe she could talk openly about like what's actually going on, that started shining a light on what some things
what's wrong with Dorothy.
Right. And then all of this happened. Basically, Candace had the rug ripped from under her every single relationship. She had it again and again, first with Monique, then with the rest of the group, now with Karen. And so then she's pushed back into Dorothy's arms. And Dorothy was gleeful in that scene of like, and then she's like joking about kidnapping her grandchild. And I'm like, Dorothy's not kidding. She's going to kidnap
She's
that
probably
child.
not kidding. I'm like, oh, she was like, because you saw her on, I think, Thanksgiving, and how I was like, it's like two different people. It's like, this is so interesting. And I think it's mostly because that is not Dorothy's house. So it's like, oh, I can't, that was the other thing. I can just sell this house right up from under you. She can't hold that on her no more. So she got to be like, oh, she really is adult in my eyes now, even though it's like, so what'd you give her the house for? If you were just going to hold it? I'm like, girl, it's like she now has a husband who, by the way, Chris Bassett is literally Chris number one on that show for me, because the way that he said, you can talk to your wife any way you want. You will not talk to mine that way. I'm like, oh, wow.
I mean, that song, that's my type. That's my type. He's
right?
bald. He's bald.
Like, come on, Chris.
Supportive.
Come on, Chris.
Like, this is the thing. First of all, it must be said, I hope that he sought medical care for the brown dick. That's not normal. He needed to see a medical professional about that. I hope he got that sorted out. I will never stop thinking about his brown penis.
Like, I feel like that's wrong. I feel like you should go to the doctor. To the doctor.
I think that this is what makes him actually an excellent house husband, is that he always lets Candace fight her own battles. He is never getting involved without needing to. And the only time he ever does is to protect her, of like, okay, what we're not going to do is go after Ashley. I'm going to sit on you. It's going to be fine.
Right. They're like, don't go too far. Don't go too far.
But he always lets her fight they're over there having a finale fight. This is what her job is. She's having the finale fight over here. And they're he's at the bar.
This is our scene. What are you doing?
He's at the bar because he's like, okay, cool. She's earning that paycheck. She's going to do what she's going to do. And like, I, again, can only imagine what the past couple of months have been like for him as a supportive spouse, as somebody who supports his wife.
And he was very, very supportive. It was just like, because he didn't just, it wasn't Chris Samuels going, that's embarrassing. He was like, giving her tea the next day. Are you okay? How are you feeling? It's like
checking in with her on the cast trip, saying like, don't worry about it.
Like, so different. I'm like, he really, because I was like, before I was like, I don't know. And then you just seeing him going, no, he really does love her. And he actually does care about her. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm kind of glad she has Chris in her life, because I feel like if she was single, this would be a whole lot different. She probably would go somewhere a little bit more downward spiral. And it's like,
he's really grounding for her. Like,
he's really good for her. He really is.
I know what this says about me. I've said this before. I see myself, like my relationship with my husband, who I call Dr. Bald, like our dynamic is very similar to Candace and Chris. Like, whereas like he will sit there and be like, oh shit, she's had her third tequila. Where's the night gonna go? But like, he's very supportive. He like,
you're not a tequila Katie, are you?
I am not a tequila Katie, but I'm more of a Karen. It's like, what the hell is going to come out of my mouth? But no, but he's supportive of me, and he loves me unconditionally. He knows I can handle my own, but like, I can only imagine if fucking dead.
He'll see your breaking point and go, okay, so
if Michael Darby came up to him at a bar and tried to talk shit about me, he'd be like, excuse me, sir.
What the fuck?
Gollum, you sit yourself down, go back to Mordor.
And can we not call him Michael Darby? Someone said, can we call him Darby? No. We like Darby. We don't like Gollum. We're not doing Darby. It's not Michael Darby ever.
No.
Ever. I'm like, no, because we like Darby. What the hell? How dare
Dobby
you curse him?
Free elf. How dare you? No.
First of all, fuck you. Second of all, how dare you? You will not rest in peace, Dobby. Oh God, I'm sorry. It was like I didn't realize this until someone pointed it out. That party was the first time they had been in the same room since the reunion. So it's like Michael don't fuck with you, and Chris damn sure don't fuck with you. So you running up to him like y'all have had some sort of conversation, been in the same room. He was like, I know you better get the fuck out of my face. Get the fuck away from me.
And I find it so interesting to see the people that are going to have the narrative of this person's right and this person's wrong, of like, haha, we caught him. See, he's violent too. And I'm like, these are completely two different situations.
Two different things. And he did not hit her.
He did not hit him. And when he was asked to leave, he left. He didn't cause a scene. He did not. It was Gollum Darby who then was going and picking fights with other people in there. Like, I just think I can only imagine, like, put yourself in his shoes, that for months he's had his wife be torn apart on social media, in the blogs, in this, in that. And now, like, you're just trying to get through this reunion. You're trying to be there for your wife. You're trying to stay the fuck out of it. And sorry, I'm cursing so much, but like, it is what it is. But like, here. But he's just trying to stay out of it, get through the night. The light is at the end of the tunnel. This has been so traumatic for your family. You know that they are like talking about this every night. He's like living this. He's trying to be strong for his wife. And then this fucking bridge troll comes up to him to be like, you better control your wife. Right. Like, I can imagine in that moment being like, nope, and that's
he's better than me, because I think I would have punched him. And it's so interesting when he's like, oh, you're touching me. I'm like, baby, I know Juan Dixon is fine, so I get it. But Juan Dixon manhandled you a lot more than Chris Bassett even came near you. That man was like holding you and try to get in your face. Not get in your face, but try to hold you back. Like, relax, calm down. Right. So why he's like, you're like, I'm gonna put you in jail. I'm like, that is hilarious coming from you. I'm like, you, that we actually have video proof that you touched somebody without them wanting, and do you try to make it seem like, oh, y'all trying to make this up and trying to put me in jail? And the first thing that Chris is like, I'm gonna have you in jail. I'm like, and then here comes Scrappy Doo with the pony. I'm like, see, this is the second time that you have walked into a fight. You don't know what the fuck is going on. You're gonna open your mouth. And they came at Candace. Here you go, pointing your finger in her face, in Chris's face. Y'all better than see. Nope, let them white people fight. Nope. Get the Chris gonna beat his ass. Go right ahead. He's drunk. It's fine. Let him beat his ass. Let the white people fight. I'm not doing this with you. It's like, first of all, somebody need to punch Mickey Darby right in his face. And then you're only mad at him for, you're embarrassing me in front of production. I'm like, girl, he caused 3 scenes tonight. This is and you went on vacation the next day and you're having baby number 2. Girl, you're not all that. This was from December.
Did you hear that horror music that they put on that? Like,
I was like, girl,
you know what I need? I need a show about the production on Potomac so we can hear what they think and what must happen that doesn't air. If this is the stuff that does.
Oh, you see more of the producers in their after show. I'm like, see, yeah, I need y'all to have your own show. Carlos King, hello. Can you come over here and interview them, then have their own reality producers? I would love it.
Actually, no, screw that. Excuse me. Are any Potomac producers listening? Would you like to come on Mocha Minutes? Stephanie can interview you.
I had so many questions. I'm like, girl, it's kind of like you just go, what? And it's like, mind you, we got the two white dudes fighting, and then you got Karen versus Candace, and Candace is like emotional, like, Karen, how are you both sizing this? And the thing about it is like, this is the same Karen who told Robin that she shouldn't both size this when Charisse and Giselle were going, and they were like going back and forth, and she flat out told Giselle to her face, I agree with Charisse. And Giselle was like, okay, because she realizes like they actually are friends. So for Karen to go, I don't have to pick a side. That's not what you told Robin. You give advice, you don't follow it. And the thing about it is, I know why she's frustrated, because blindly, anytime that Karen had an issue with somebody, Candace took her side. It didn't matter. She was just like, I'm your friend. It's like, you're more of a loyal friend. Candace is a more loyal friend to Karen than she is to Candace. I don't think she's a terrible friend. Right. So I think she gives good advice, but she don't always follow through, because there's no way Karen, you can word this differently. Having Monique in your house, of course, that's going to hurt. Because if she had just said, let me just be very clear. If you had asked me to do this, I would have said yes to you too. I'm like, I'm in the middle because I love you and Monique. So this is not me saying Monique is more right, but that's not what she said. I'm like, baby, you could have worded this differently. And then there's that whole
thing. Then Karen's like, you're going to see the truth. And it has to do with Candace using the word released. I don't understand. I don't know if I'm dumb or it just doesn't make sense.
You didn't realize she just said in self-defense. What's the truth here? You were there. Why are you acting like you weren't there? You're like, that's the truth. I'm like, but you were there.
And that's what I understood Candace getting elevated about that, of being like, what truth do you need to come out?
You're not Ashley. Ashley wasn't there. You were. Why are you acting like you didn't see it? I saw another video of, I think yesterday, when I noticed something that I didn't notice before. Wendy did try to break them up, but it was too late. She had already grabbed her hair. She was like, whoa, what are we doing? So it was like, hey, I missed this part. Because Wendy was like, no. It's like, we're not fighting, ladies. Please stop pulling her hair. Yeah. It's like, but I don't even know. I'm like, Karen, I don't think you're a terrible friend to her, but you weren't a good friend. Because it's like, because you're not listening to why she's upset. And because Monique is just rubber stamping you because, well, she knows better.
Right.
It's like, you're a fan favorite. I can't go against you, because nobody has dispelled my hypothesis is that if in some upside down world, Monique and Karen got into a physical fight and she had hit Karen, nobody would be Team Monique. Ever. They'd be like, how dare you, you violent piece of shit. How dare you hit Karen? And it's like, nobody's like, no one told me, oh, that's not true. I'm like, yeah, let her hit Karen.
You know what's so interesting? So I do my polls every week in my stories. And one of the questions I asked was, if everything about this fight was reversed, if Monique was twirling and Candace reached out and grabbed her, would the audience be divided? And it was like 80% said no. 80% said that it wouldn't be as divided as it is now. And I'm like, well, at least you guys have self-awareness. Like I understand. Yeah. And I give people credit. Like I've had so many, I'm getting ready to do my Teddy talk of the season of
I can't wait. It's going to be great.
I've got my data. I've got my charts. Like it's going to be,
I'm like,
it's going to be a full weekend activity putting that together. But I'm asking people for their opinions. And I've gotten some DMs being like, I just don't like Candace. I'm just team. And I'm like, you know what? I actually appreciate that. I appreciate
be that honest. I'm like, I'm just Team Monique. It don't matter what she do. I am still Team Monique. I'm like, so you sound like a Pittsburgh Steelers fan to me. By the way, for everybody, the Steelers are no longer undefeated. They lost to the Washington football team. I was going to call them the Washington racial slurs, but I'm growth. Okay. When my brother was on and we were talking about football, I'm like, when we were talking, I was like, I think we brought up, like, do you think the team is going to be undefeated? I'm like, the team that's going to give them their first loss is not who you're going to expect. It's going to be somebody that's like not a good team. It's going to be the weird, like any given Sunday shit. It's like, yeah, it's not going to be the Chiefs. No. It's the Washington football team. They lost to them. I'm like, yeah, see, that don't make no sense. It's like on paper, it's like they should have beat them. And I'm like, yeah, I'm like, I can't wait to text my brother. I'm like, you see who they lost to, right? It's like Washington, like on paper. Absolutely not.
Do you know who's a Steelers fan though?
Who?
Dr. Bald. I know.
Can he get me James Conner for Christmas? Because man, he's pretty. He's a cancer survivor. I know he is in quarantine for COVID. I get it, but can he get me James Conner for Christmas?
Well, here, let me do it again. Santa, I know you listen to this.
Why? I'm like, what is with be in running backs. I'm like, it's him, it's Todd Gurley, it's Rashad Jennings. I'm like, is this my type? Running backs? Is this it? It's like, because Todd, I don't know what Todd Gurley, he's just a handsome boy. I'm acting like he's like so much younger than me. He's 25. And it's like, but I'm like, yeah, he's so adorable. I just want to pinch his cheeks. But yeah, James Conner for Christmas. Santa, I've been somewhat of a good girl. I have been practicing social distancing, Santa. I feel like that just automatically puts me on the good list.
It definitely does.
For James Conner. I'm sorry. I was going to say something nasty. It's not after 10 p.m. yet, guys. I won't. I save my nastiness for Twitter and Jonathan so he can, hey, we're not, the timeline's not sleep. I'm like, timelines never sleep, Jonathan. Although, I'm saying, I like a bearded hoochie, and he's a bearded hoochie. So we're getting 3 parts. So it's not 4 parts of the reunion because no.
I know.
We're getting 3 parts, which I kind of figured it would be. And I hope it's not like, you know how the 3-part reunion is. Like the first one is like, okay, we might be getting some stuff. And then the second episode is like, what the fuck is this? And then the third one's like, oh,
yeah.
Okay, we're here. So hopefully we get a good solid 3. But you know, if that binder is full of laminated pages talking about Jamal Bryant's dick, I'm like, girl, we don't care. We also know.
We also have Google.
It's like, girl, we don't care. I'm like, if that is your thing, that is also a deficit to Monique. I'm like, Monique, you have spent all of this time to keep your personal business, this rumor about this trainer that I don't know what he looks like, but apparently he's fine, and the paternity of your child off of the show for you to turn around and go to the reunion and say, let me bring up everything about Jamal Bryant. I'm like, ma'am, this is where you lose me. Because it can't be, don't bring up my family. Like, oh, since you want to do this, let me bring this up. I'm like, girl, is this all you get? That's all you have on Giselle. I mean, at least Karen got every hue beauty. I'm like, but okay, girl, I stopped seeing it. I just assumed that we stopped making it. I'm like, I mean, I don't care. I don't care.
Like my hot take. I almost wish that they would put a gag order on Housewives during the season. Like, I don't like the tweets. I don't like the going live. Like, I think it actually takes away from the show because some like I don't really follow it unless it's sent to me. And then we've got people like Obi and Taria who are like, I swear, have their own little detective agency. They're like sorting through files. I mean, they know all the backstories.
Obi is the reason why I'm like, oh boy, this is fucked up.
but you know what I mean? And then we're arguing with people that have different reference points, and it's like, I almost would rather we all just watch the show for what it is, and then you can bring out all the receipts at the reunion.
Yeah,
at the reunion, give all the behind the scenes details, tell us what was actually.
And that's the thing. That's how it used to be. Especially remember them early seasons. Like you ain't find out shit until the reunion.
That's where it originated, where they'd pull the file from behind the pillow.
Right, and like everybody going to Kinko's to print out text messages. I'm like, we're doing it. Right. I was like, and let me show you. I'm like,
right. And that's, I would rather get it all in that format so we could all talk about it in that, they present us with that, because I think it gets so convoluted and confusing when like not everybody.
You're talking about something that's not even getting covered on the show.
Right. And then it's like,
y'all, the reason why we can't do lives anymore is Monique and Candace. And it's like, you do realize we stopped this because you're bringing up something that's not even being covered on the show. You're doing all of this because it's like they used to do lives last season because Karen used to go live after the episode. Giselle used to go live after the episode, but I think it was just kind of those two. I think Monique too. It was like they would just talk about what's on the show. Yeah, which is why it didn't get shut down last year, because Karen and Giselle just talked about the show. Whatever they saw, what y'all just saw. She's like, okay, show's over. Let's talk about it.
And you know what's even so messed up, and this might just be my own delusion, this is neither here nor there, but now, so like I am very delusional, so I've been sliding into many Bravo celebrities DMs being like, hey, OhnoBravo Live Fridays and Sundays, and I have to go through Bravo now because they don't approve Bravo celebrities to go live on Instagram. They have to approve, like, it has to be an approved source now. And I swear it's because, again, this is just based on speculation, but I have to imagine it has to do with those lives of like, they need to vet people of like, it's not, what are you guys going to talk about live? Because it's live. It can't be edited. You can't edit anything out of a live. So I don't know. It's a mess over there.
Even if you like, if you don't save it, it's fine. But people can people screen record alive, which is why the whole thing, and I'm not going to touch on too much about this, the whole thing with the Black socialites, it seemed one-sided because Kyle didn't save his lives. That's why people don't know. And it was like, if you think that Kyle was just laying there and taking it, girl, no, he wasn't. And he shouldn't have. They're going back and forth because he was one of the first people that reported what happened at the party, and he is maintained, which is why I give him a lot of grace and air, not just because he's no longer here, but because he said, this is the story that I was told. So he's saying I objectively reported a subjective story. So it's kind of like, you see that. And then even to like in late September, early October, all of a sudden he was like, I'm no longer talking about Potomac. And I'm like, so that's odd. Why would he stop doing that? And then you see where All True Tea and Not All About the Tea, two totally different pages, put up like screenshots of Kyle saying that I was lied to about the fight and someone was using me as a pawn. And I'm like, so if you look at a lot of the bigger bloggers, and if you look at some, even the write-ups of the recaps, they're not Candace friendly and they're also not objective. So it's kind of like, that's very interesting because it was a concerted effort to make it seem like Candace started this fight. So people walked into the season already going, I already hate Candace because I know she threw a drink on my queen. So guess what? I fuck her forever. And I'm sitting here like, I'm kind of like that too, but it's like, I'm like, I don't necessarily like Monique because I don't like the ways that she plays sometimes. And it's like, if Giselle is dust, stop paying attention to her. Girl, you have a nice life. You have a beautiful children, a husband, you have 4 homes, you have a seemingly good life. And this is when you know there's cracks in those veneers. And you see it by the way that she's acting because she's not owning up. I'm like, girl, you are too old to be doing this. And you act like you are so much older than Candace. You are like 3 years apart. And she is not the youngest person in that show. That is Ashley. But y'all aged her up because she has a kid. And I'm like, so she has a little bit more responsibility because she has a husband, she has kids, she has all of these going on. But that doesn't mean Candace is not a person and she don't have a life because she's not a mother. That doesn't make her less important. That doesn't make her the youngest. That doesn't make her immature because it's very immature to get, you want me to hit you? Oh, you want me to hit you? That is immature. Why the fuck are you putting your hands on me? I'm like, Monique, you need to stop. And I'm like, it's going to take her some time. She might need to step away. And like, but also I don't want her fired. I'm like, she can get friend of like Portia and come back. And it's like, this is why I'm glad that fight with her grabbing Kenya happened at the reunion because we would have got the same damn thing. It's like, girl, we ain't not talking about this anymore. Like after a while, it's like, girl, we don't care. It's like you put your hands on her and you're dead ass wrong. You're also dead ass wrong to think that, well, she baited me. I'm like, I'm sorry. Is this middle school?
I actually feel, this might be a hot take, I actually feel robbed by this season. It was a great season, but I feel robbed that we didn't have the opportunity to see all of the women interacting for an entire season. Right. I think that there are so many more dynamics to play out. I think Dr. Wendy and Monique have a lot in common. I think it would have been so interesting to see their blossoming friendship. I think that would have definitely put a wedge between Dr. Wendy and Candace. I think that there are so many things to play out. And I know it's probably not looking this way, but I say again, I would like to have this exact same cast for another season and make them all film together, obviously as part of signing on to agree that you feel comfortable and willing to film with everybody. But if you think about it, this fight happened so early in the season that I feel robbed because I actually think this was a perfect cast. I think Dr. Wendy was a great addition. And if you think about it, we really didn't get a full cast anything except for the winery.
Yeah. And it's their cast trips are always fun. It's shit happens because even I think their Paris trip was after the whole umbrella thing, and they were making fun of it.
Right.
So it's kind of like, and they worked it out. It's kind of like you wanted that. And it's like, I wish it hadn't gotten too physical, because I feel like if it was just arguing and you kind of pulled them apart, or she just walked away like she had been doing literally this entire season.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I think we could have gotten that, because, you know, people are like, oh my God, Candace using this as her storyline. She ain't doing nothing else. Hey, hi, she signed a record deal. She recorded a song. What was Monique's storyline? Please tell me. I don't know. It can't be that podcast. Shout out to Monty, because I'm like, oh my God, it's Monty. But I also know Sarah Fraser from the Hey Frasier or Sarah Fraser Now podcast. She was on. I remember her talking about her doing the podcast. So I knew her podcast episode was in November. So I knew it wasn't in October, because I remember her talking about it. It was like, yeah. So this is way after the fight.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, this was a great season. I think it's come to an end at a perfect point, because I can like feel the tension in
like,
social
we can't
media.
talk about this fight no more. We don't care.
I know. It's and here we are like 2 hours in, still talking about the fight. This is what I always do. I'm like, I can't talk about this anymore.
But anyway, OhnoBravo, let me tell you about this. Because it's like, they are the best ensemble.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know everybody has their favorites, but it's like, I think as an ensemble, they're spectacular.
Yes.
Early seasons of Atlanta used to be this to a certain extent. Sometimes New York. OC, I feel like they've never had a stellar ensemble ever. Beverly Hills. I'm sorry, I miss Taylor. I just miss Taylor. I don't know. But it's like, I feel like they had a good ensemble, but it wasn't as cohesive as a Potomac. It's like, all of these ladies need each other. It doesn't work with somebody else.
Beverly Hills was never as funny or as light. Like when they had a good ensemble, it was that they could all mesh well in the drama, where like, I actually I love a Housewives franchise that can have fun together. Like, I like when they're laughing and not fighting. I liked when they played the prank on Dr. Wendy. Like, I like when it seems like a girls trip I could be a part of. Like, and I think that Potomac does that really well, of balancing the mess and the drama with the good times and the funny and the snarky and the witty and the fun, like just good, like happy vibes. And I think like, I almost feel like we missed out on a little bit of that because it got so dark with the fight. And I think that the fight became more than the fight. And they had so much more on their shoulders, where it like, we've seen fights on Vanderpump Rules and New Jersey and like all these other.
Stacey literally backhanded Kristen, and she did not get demoted. I was like, wait a minute. And how many times did Jax
was like, whoa.
It was like, wait a minute. She didn't even get reprimanded. No one said she should be fired. Nothing. It was like, she just punched. She like backhanded her like, you were supposed to make
Danielle
$85
Staub gave
tonight.
someone whiplash.
She literally like horse collar. It's like, child, like Teresa flipped the table. The Joes literally multiple fist fights. It's like, this is not new. And it was like, yeah, so this is not like, I'm sorry, y'all. And it may be just because we are old school, like we are not new to this. We are true to this. It's like, we have been watching. I'm like, this is not the worst fight that's ever been on. This is just the one that didn't have no jump cuts.
Yes.
That is the difference. This is a straight continuous. Any other time somebody fights, there are jump cuts. They didn't do no jump cuts with this. And I'm like, that's because y'all want people to watch this season. And I feel like y'all thought that y'all didn't have a season without this. And I'm like, so that's not fair to Candace nor Monique.
Right.
It's like, yeah, so they can't heal if you're still showing this and people are still telling Monique, no, she deserved it. I'm like, so yeah, no one deserves to get, so in this, like, see, it gets really to a lineup that I'm not comfortable with, because I get, sometimes it's like, what she did and what she said to Monique, nothing she said was fighting words. She ain't dog her child. She ain't spit in her face. She ain't do none of that. She just couldn't take her teasing her. And it's like, girl, that's not hands worthy. This is not her. She didn't shit on you. She didn't say our friendship didn't mean shit. That was you.
And I mean, and I understand the like the straw that breaks the camel's back type of thing.
Yeah.
She had just had it and she was
Yeah.
at that level. And probably realistically, Candace could have said anything that day and it would have come to that point because
already
she was just
mad.
already there.
She's already there.
But where Monique again loses me is like, I see her liking the Instagram posts and the tweets of like, you know, Candace. I would love for Monique to say, thank you so much for your support. You know, I've been doing a lot of work. Candace didn't make me do anything. I made a bad choice, but thank you for your support. I'm so glad your team, Monique, let me send you my, you know, essential oils, whatever. Like, you know, let me give you podcast. Like, but for her to be like, on one hand saying she's doing all this like introspective work and working on herself and looking
and still
inward,
finding a way to blame Candace.
And then
it's like,
still
girl,
finding a way to blame Candace. And it's like, that's not it.
That's
like,
not work. You're not doing the work. Where's Iyanla? I don't see. She's a freelance auntie and I love her. I feel like Iyanla would like, but what would you have done differently? What if you have done? She would have said it. And it was like, girl, you can't keep blaming Candace for your actions. That is childish. That is immature. It's like,
and on the flip side of that, Candace, when your therapist is literally begging you, pleading you to take some accountability, just say, you know what? I think I probably could have stopped provoking her, or I could have like maybe not taken it. Just Candace also needs to take some responsibility. But I find it so interesting. People get so pissed at her for not taking accountability when they kind of are two sides of the same coin in a lot of ways. They
really are. It's like they really are a lot alike, and it still still blows my mind that Candace entered this franchise as a friend of Ashley. It's like, you didn't realize she didn't come in as Monique's friend. She came in as Ashley's friend. I'm like, oh, okay. So this is fun. This is where we are. Because I'm sitting here like, Candace made it a point to say he was talking about the physical part of the fight. And I'm like, okay, I feel like, I don't know if you could have did something different because when it happened so fast, but I feel like y'all two arguing is like, y'all was about to leave. And it's like, I'm not putting any blame on anybody else around them. But if y'all are like seeing this, why didn't anybody say, you know what, it's time to go? Why don't y'all just sit down and just, if y'all were invested in them actually working this out, you'd be like, hey, why don't y'all just go meet for, okay, we're going to go. Okay, this is over. Like, y'all could do that. It's like, if y'all saying she's so immature and she needs help, why didn't y'all fucking help her? It's like, this is really weird to me because that would have been my thing. But it's like, of course, we can sit here and like, we're looking at it, bird's eye view of everything about what we would do. But honestly, if we're in this situation, I don't know. I'm like, I probably would have been Wendy, like, hey, wait, let's not throw hands. Okay.
I probably honestly would have been Robin, like backed up, drinking my wine. Like, what the hell is happening?
I thought we were just calling her a chia pet and talking about her leopard, and now we're fighting. Okay. I was like, I wasn't prepared. But yeah, so gird your loins because 3 parts of the reunion, and I think a couple people said if you were Team Monique, you're going to leave here Team Monique. If you're Team Candace, you're going to leave here Team Candace. I'm like, so that sounds fun. I'm like,
I'm really productive.
It's like, this is going to be like, well, you're not going to change.
My PSA for anybody listening who, yes, reunion season is upon us. Let's just like, okay, my number one thing is if you can't say it nice, at least say it funny. And just remember, like, at the end of the day, this is a Bravo show and we love this. And the fact that we all are so passionate about Bravo is actually something that brings us together. So let's like stop with the bullshit. Like, it's not fun when I see people like going after each other's characters for being Team Monique or Team Candace.
Like, how dare you give Candace empathy? How could you? And it's like, she's a person. And what are you doing?
I mean, honestly, I don't think it's been this divided since Bethany and Carol.
Right? Not even, and that's the thing, not even
Team
Bethany
Carol,
and Jill. Thank you. I am Team Carol. I was Team Carol on this. I'm like, Bethany, shut the hell up. I took you on a trip. She does not own you. She was, Carol don't have to like you, bitch. You take your skinny girl and stick it straight up your ass. It's like, are you kidding? I'm like, Carol doesn't have to like you. And you were literally doing what Jill did to you. And you, it's like she didn't even see it that way. I'm like, you do realize you were mad at Carol and you're doing the thing that Jill did to you. Like, I helped you. I did this all for you. And now you're acting like, I'm like, you don't see it, do you? Okay, that's fine, Bethany. But because everybody likes Bethany, they were like, Bethany's not wrong. I'm like, so she kind of is, but this is also a relationship. This is a friendship, it's a relationship, and y'all gonna have to do it. But Carol was like, girl, I don't want to do this. I just want to wear these big old ugly earrings and sit in the cafe and eat. But you want to have a discussion. This is a lot. And you're doing this over text message. I'm like, so I can't take you seriously. You want to have a whole discussion over text. Mm-hmm. You know where I live. You can have FaceTime. You have an iPhone. What are we doing? Girl, See, this is when I know I've watched Bravo too long, because I'm like, oh my gosh, because I remember. It's like, oh no, Bravo. Like, yes, Bravo. I also want to know justice for Top Chef, because this last season of Top Chef All-Stars was so damn good. And I'm like, is anybody else watching with me? Am I alone?
I need to get back into Top Chef. So when my husband and I first got married, we had a roommate who, it was funny. He's like the manliest man ever, but he would watch Top Chef, and that was like a show we would all watch together. Mm-hmm. So then when we, moved out and had kids and stuff, like that was like, I realized I only watched because of this roommate, but I need to get back into it. That will be my pledge to you. I'm going to watch with you so we can talk about it.
I was like, I didn't really like the other All-Stars, but for this one, I don't know if maybe it's the pandemic. I just liked it, but I'm a sucker for restaurant wars. So I'm like, that's my shit. I just love it. I'm like, I just like watching the show of stuff that, I mean, if I went to culinary school, I probably could cook it, but I'm just going to watch y'all do it.
Well, I learned about reductions. I literally like burn eggs. Like I can make ramen. I can make bagels by putting it in the toaster. That's pretty much the extent of my cooking. So
I'm like, I'm learning about reduction. I'm like, that's what reduction means. Ooh.
I'm like, oh, that's how you turn on. I'm
like, now I want to go. I'm like, can I just go shopping with y'all for food? I feel like this is fun. I want to go on the trip where y'all go. I'm like, I just love some of the Top Chef I love, and maybe I will get back into
So you realize this is a Bravo podcast now,
right? I was like, I have to. I'm putting this out there that I am formulating a Bravo podcast that's going to be a offshoot of Mocha Minutes. So this is just crazy, and I'm just like, I watch so much stuff on Bravo, but I like discussing stuff with Bravo. Okay, yeah. It's like 2021.
I love that, because when you came on my live, which by the way, people, if you have not listened, shameless plug, it's saved to my IGTV. It was a very good episode. Again, almost got banned from Instagram, I swear. So go and check that out. It's on my IGTV or on my Patreon, the audio, if you prefer to listen to it like a Patreon. But I loved that when I gave you the little outline, I was like, okay, does this look good? And you're like, it looks great, except I'm not a Bravo podcast. I'm like, well, I don't believe you, but okay.
You're like, okay, I won't tell them that this time, but next time you're there. She's a Bravo podcast, and this is why you need to listen. I'm like, oh. I was like, yeah, because there are people like, excuse me, this is our turf. Because believe me, I've heard the stories about some folks in our sphere, and I'm like, girl, I just want to have fun. You want to be famous, and I'm like, girl.
Well, I want to be famous and have fun. What about that?
See, that's the thing. You're different. You're like, I want to have fun, and also, what's up, mother shuckers? It's like, what? I'm like, oh man, are we still gonna talk about corn? Yeah, I know he's gone.
Corn will come, corn will go. I needed to have a line in the sand, mostly because like I love it. I love my followers, very passionate people. My DMs are like where it's at. It was getting to the point of like 90% corn, and I needed to maybe take a step back from the kernels, just a tiny bit. Everyone will still be mother shuckers. I still love you guys. It's still somewhat a corn account, but I needed to, draw the line in the sand at some point.
Oh my gosh. Oh, well, it sounds like we have a show, but this has been so much fun. Before we get out of here, first, thank you so much for being here. I really, really loved having you on here. Because Obi from Odd Black Individual, I'm like, when he came on, I was like, yeah, so I need you to get a podcast. And he's like, I'm like, yeah, I need you to get one. And he's like, but and now he has a podcast. I'm like, I feel like I'm manifesting this because I see folks and voices that I feel like should be there. So, I mean, if you want to have the Mother Shucker Pod, I'm like, I don't know. I'm not going to name it. I mean, I don't know what to call it. I mean, I don't know. It could be OhnoBravo! Exclamation point. I mean, I don't know.
I will say this. In the new year, there's going to be some changes. It's not going to be a traditional format, but there will be more opportunities to listen to me rather than see me. I'll put it that way. So you can manifest that too.
So exciting. Okay, this is so exciting. Okay. So please tell everybody. I mean, I feel like I've kept saying it, but how can they follow OhnoBravo?
So you can follow me at OhnoBravo on Instagram. I do have a Patreon that I'm dedicating a lot of time into. Like I said, I'm watching Atlanta from the beginning. I will be sliding into your DMs, by the way, to get you on the books for
you got to
season
hear
2.
Dr. Bald. I'm like, whoa, what the heck?
Yeah. So my husband, Dr. Bald, not a medical doctor, just a man that went bald at 22. I've got him on the Patreon a couple of times breaking down some stuff. He is like all in on Salt Lake City. So I'm definitely going to get him.
Oh my
to
God.
try to
Where
talk about it.
So is he in the Shaw Squad or is he with the Schwinger?
He likes the swinger. He does like the swinger. He is very, very concerned about Jen Shaw's finances. I'll put it that way.
Oh,
because her husband's salary is public record and it does not support a 4 assistant type of lifestyle. I'll put it that way.
Man, she lives at a ski resort. Maybe she rents it out. I'm like, look, let me know if it's like somewhere because I want to stay at the ski chalet.
That's what you said. Can we Airbnb it? I'm like, all we need is like 35 of us to afford it.
I'm just saying. I'm like, can we do it? And then we can record. This would be great.
It would be great. We could have like a little Bravo podcaster excursion.
See, that could be our retreat. That'll be our BravoCon.
Yes. Oh my God. Well, also BravoCon 2021. Ask me receipt. But anyway, if you want to see more of me, I have insane wigs and Ramona eyes. I go live on Fridays and Sundays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. All of my previous lives are saved to my IGTV, and I will be having you back.
Yay! Now I'm like, I gotta get a wig. I gotta hit the Amazons.
Well, thank you for having me. This was so much fun.
So much. Thank you. Thank you so much, guys. I will be back next week with somebody else that loves to chop it up with Bravo with me. I'm so excited. Oh, this month is just going to be great. And folks, I will say this. I know I'm going to be talking a lot about Bravo, but we're going to be talking about like stuff off of reality TV. But this is a lot of stuff. As you can see, we've talked a lot because there's a lot to talk about. And also, January 21st cannot happen. And I'm like, January 20th. Yeah, January 21st. He is out. Start reporting that account so he can get off Twitter because we couldn't do it while he was president. But once he's not, he's gone. So report it with me. We're going to have a reporting party. Okay, this is the Mocha Minutes podcast. I will be back next week. Bye.
Bye.
Over your nose, the mother freaking mask goes over your nose. Put it on your mouth and it ain't doing nothing. Put it on your nose or the germs still coming. Hey, over your nose, the mother freaking mask goes over your nose. It's a pandemic and we stuck inside. Put it on your nose or some people gon' die. Hey, over your nose, the mother freaking mask goes over your nose, over your nose, the mother freaking mask goes over your nose.